Chapter 157. Half of the ant hole had collapsed, and the fire-red ants gushed out endlessly. They did not care about the human flesh that they usually loved. They just kept moving a pile of rubble. Many giant soldier ants came out and patrolled around. A few of them even crawled towards Yu Yang. Without waiting for Yu Yang to make a move, Gray Wolf, who hated the fire-red ants a lot, immediately sent them down the mountain. Blazing black flames of hell sprayed onto their antennae, and a few soldier ants immediately rolled down in pain. In the ant nest, where tens of thousands of ants were in a commotion, no matter how strong Gray Wolf was, it would not be able to gain an advantage. However, in the face of just a few soldier ants, it could easily beat these big guys that were more than a few meters long. The anger that had accumulated when he was surrounded by the ants in the ant hole could finally be released. Gray Wolf was very pleased. As long as a fire-red ant left the group, he would go up and beat it up. The crushed rocks were all moved away, and a few packages hidden in the cracks of the rocks were found by the fire-red ants. Yu Yang and the others looked down at everything and realized that there really were golden ant eggs. The 3 golden eggs were carefully carried by the fire-red ants, preparing to be transported back to their nest. Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. Although it was useless to him, these golden beast eggs were not bad either. Yi Kong and the others might be able to use them. Yu Yang threatened to ask Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others who were on the opposite cliff, who wants it? 2 gold-ranked ant soldier beasts, one of which is a golden female ant, which is the future ant queen. I don't want that. Yi Kong hurriedly waved his hands. Previously, he had already contracted the Herculean rhinoceros beetle. This time, he should give this opportunity to his companions. Give it to Fatty Hai and the others. What? I don't want it either. The naked Fatty Hai covered his lower body and shouted, I only want to contract summon beasts with beautiful women. I don't care about ants. Cut 2 for Li Chieli. I don't care at all. Although he appeared to be carefree on the surface, in reality, his heart was aching terribly, and the fat on his face was trembling. If it was any other time, he might have gladly agreed. However, ever since Yu Yang stood up for him last time, he had made up his mind to turn over a new leaf. After Yu Yang came up with a special training plan for him, Fatty Hai knew his future direction of development. That was his iron rhinoceros. The iron rhinoceros was a guardian beast. Although it was still a little weak right now, after it was upgraded to silver-ranked or gold-ranked, the value of nurturing it would be much higher than nurturing a golden ant soldier that was not a guardian beast. At the very least, the iron rhinoceros would never die, and it would never defect. It was the most trustworthy companion for life. Although the golden ant soldiers were good, once they died, they would lose everything. Besides, soldier ants had no intelligence and only had instincts. They were not very useful in battle. Fortunately, this was a strengthening type beast. If it was a war beast type gold-ranked ant soldier, it might not even be as useful as a silver-ranked demon wolf. Leave the female golden ant to the ant colony. It is the future ant queen. We only need those 2 golden ant soldiers. Li Chia and Li Gu felt that if they did not increase their strength as soon as possible, it would not do. With the golden ant soldiers, their strength would increase by at least 10 times. In that case, they believed that they would not be a burden to everyone anymore. They were very self-aware. Being able to contract a gold-ranked beast like the golden ant soldier was already a great fortune that they could only dream of. Furthermore, these golden ant soldiers were still eggs and larvae. They could be nurtured slowly. If not for Yu Yang, even if they saw these golden ant eggs, they would not be able to obtain them. They could only look at the treasures and swallow their saliva. Under Yu Yang's signal, the Bloody Queen flew down from the sky. She made her move and snatched the 2 golden ant eggs. The ant colony was immediately thrown into chaos. However, they had a natural fear towards the gold-ranked Bloody Queen. At the same time, they could not fly, so they could not chase after her. They could only strengthen their protection of the female golden ant egg. Dozens of fire-red ants climbed onto their companions' bodies, forming a densely packed ant wall. As for the female golden ant egg, it was quickly transported back into the ant hole. The large group of ant soldiers stayed behind until the female golden ant egg disappeared into the depths of the ant-hole. Only then did they pick up the stone and seal the ant-hole tightly, as if they were afraid that the bloody queen would chase after them. They had a natural instinct to protect their ant queen. Compared to the ant soldiers, the ant queen was their everything. Although that was only an unhatched female golden ant egg. Since this egg was born from the previous generation's ant queen, it was destined to become the next ant queen. This ant egg is really sturdy. Yu Yang realized that after experiencing 2 earth-shattering tremors, the 2 golden ant eggs were not damaged at all. If it was me, I would be like the monkey and make a chaos egg. Although the King Kong demon ape after the monkey's fusion is trash, it is still much stronger than before. Fatty Hai didn't have any clothes on. Seeing that the bloody queen and Yu Bing had come, he quickly hid behind a rock. Although he didn't dare to come out, his voice was unwilling to be left out, and he ferociously gave the Li brothers a rotten idea. No, we don't want to fuse with a chaos egg. Li Chia and Li Gu both rejected at the same time. The success rate was 1 in 10,000. This was simply despairing. Furthermore, this was already a gold-ranked beast. Why take the risk? Yu Yang also felt that using a gold-ranked beast egg to fuse with a bastard beast was really a pain in the ass. The higher the level of the beast, the harder it was to find a suitable chaos egg. Yu Yang's idea was really a little like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Although it was an ant soldier, it was still a gold-ranked beast. This was already very good. It was better not to be too greedy. After a big battle, although there were many dangers, the rewards were still quite big. Not mentioning Yu Yang, Yu Bing and Fatty Hai's summoning grimoires had both leveled up. Yu Bing's high-rank bronze grimoire had officially turned into a silver grimoire. At the same time that her grimoire had obtained a blank page, her intense poison-inherent skill had also leveled up. Yu Yang discovered that her 100-years-old Tran Defender was faintly showing signs of leveling up. He reckoned that with the help of an external force, it would be able to smoothly level up to silver-ranked. Fatty Hai's bronze grimoire had leveled up from beginner rank to middle ranked. The ancient code had bestowed him a young, female hippopotamus beast. Although this young hippopotamus looked stupid, it was bestowed by the ancient code. Fatty Hai didn't dare to abandon it. Once a beast bestowed by the ancient code was abandoned, it would never be bestowed by another beast ever again. In the future, when the summoning grimoire leveled up, it would at most obtain a blank page. Looking at Fatty Hai's depressed expression, Yi Kong laughed until tears flowed down his cheeks. No matter what, this is still a bronze-ranked beast. If you nurture it properly, you might even be able to nurture a little hippopotamus beauty after the rhinoceros beauty. Yi Kong laughed so hard that he rolled on the floor. I'm open-minded, calm, and kind-hearted. I won't lower myself to your level, you monkey. Fatty Hai tried his best to act like a refined and courteous gentleman in front of the bloody queen. However, his boasting was a waste of effort, because the bloody queen didn't even look at him. Seeing that Fatty Hai's fawning had failed, Yi Kong pretended to be sympathetic and patted his shoulders. When Fatty Hai thought that he would comfort him, Yi Kong put him down with one sentence. Fatty, you don't have the right to be kind, but you can be generous and fat. Look at your fat body. It's exactly the same as your little hippopotamus. I dare to say that you, the iron rhinoceros and little hippopotamus, this family of 3, are a perfect match. Hee hee. Even Yu Bing was amused by these words. After the Li brothers contracted the golden ant soldier, they roared at the same time. On their bodies, a layer of light golden bones appeared. It was like an armor covering almost half of their bodies. Yi Kong raised his fist and punched with all his might. Li Chia's chest was punched, but his body only shook slightly. He didn't move an inch. If it was in the past, he would have been blasted more than 10 meters away by Yi Kong's full-force punch. He might even have broken his ribs. Now, he was completely fine after receiving Yi Kong's full-force punch. This was only the defensive power of the newly hatched golden ant soldier. If it was nurtured into a mature golden ant soldier, its defensive power would probably increase by a few times. Moreover, the area of its body would also increase until it completely covered its entire body. So strong, as expected of a gold-ranked beast. Yi Kong exclaimed. Actually, it's a little painful. If you summon the King Kong demon ape and give me another punch, I'm afraid I won't be able to take it. Li Jie nodded his head in surprise. Your golden ant soldier is still a hatchling. There's still a lot of room for improvement in the future. Moreover, after I contracted the Herculean rhinoceros beetle, my strength has increased by at least 10 times. Even if I don't summon the King Kong demon ape, I can still send Fatty flying with one punch. Yi Kong affirmed the value of the golden ant soldier, but Fatty Hai objected loudly. Hey, don't use me as an example. I'm not a punching bag. Its defensive power is not bad. It's all right in other areas too. Its only weakness is that it doesn't have intelligence. Looks like it'll be very difficult to break through to gold ranked in the future. Yu Yang sighed lightly. Although the golden ant soldier was a gold ranked beast, its potential was still limited. It was not the most ideal beast. To be able to have a gold ranked beast is already the greatest honor of our lives. We will cherish it. Li Ge nodded his head towards Yu Yang solemnly. He and Li Jie were the kind of people who didn't speak much. They knew that they were not talented enough and needed to work 1,000 times harder in order to make any progress. Although the golden ant soldier was not the best gold-ranked beast. But in this world, how many warriors had gold-ranked beasts? They did not have any outstanding talent, nor did they have the support of a huge family. These two ordinary youngsters had beasts that others could only dream of. What else could they not be satisfied with? In comparison, even the most promising Yi Kong and the grimoire owner Fatty Hai did not have gold-ranked beasts. How could they not know how to be satisfied? If they hadn't met Yu Yang, they might have already starved to death in the first floor of Tong Tian Tower. Even if they hadn't, they would still be two bodyguards who were just messing around. Who knew when they would die in the mouth of a beast? If it wasn't for Yu Yang, would they be where they are today? Hence, the two brothers Li Jie and Li Gu especially cherished and appreciated everything that Yu Yang had given them. They didn't say a word of thanks, because they couldn't thank him with words. They had already decided in their hearts that they would use the rest of their lives to repay this extraordinary man who had completely changed their lives. Oh no, if Sister Anan, Brother Anan has already come to Hope Town and encountered the mercenaries' battle. She might be in danger. Yu Bing immediately cried out in fear as she remembered something. When Yi Kong and the others thought about it, they all broke out in cold sweat. If Anan coincidentally came to Hope Town at this time, her situation would be very bad. Yi Kong and the others all looked towards Yu Yang, hoping that he would come up with an idea. Anan has the grimoire. She should be fine. Yu Yang comforted Yu Bing. He felt that it would be better to go back and take a look, so he nodded his head. Let's go back to Hope Town and see what exactly is going on. I keep feeling that the mercenaries' madness and killing each other is very strange. There must be someone behind it. Then let's go back quickly. To Yu Bing, Sister Anan was her future sister-in-law. She didn't want to see anything happen to Anan. Chapter 158. By the time they returned to Hope Town, it was already midnight. Before he even got close, Yu Yang could already smell a thick stench of blood assaulting his nose. In the darkness, a large group of low-level scavengers came after hearing the smell. Their eyes shone with a faint green light under the light of the fire. From time to time, they could hear quarrels and conflicts breaking out. There was also the unique eat laughter of hyenas echoing each other. It was terrifying and creepy, making people's hair stand on end. The town was ablaze. Other than some burning houses, there were also countless patrolling soldiers holding torches in their hands. All the surviving mercenaries and civilians were sitting on the ground, surrounded by the soldiers in circles. Are you survivors? A tall and sturdy captain of the patrol team walked out from the crowd and asked vigilantly, Are there any survivors at the bottom of the valley? What's the situation down there? We are all students from the Ivy Academy, here to train. Yu Yang handed over the application form and the school badge approved by the academy. Students from the Xia Empire? The team leader frowned for a moment. These were students from the Great Xia Kingdom, and if he didn't handle this well, it would escalate into a serious diplomatic incident. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he quickly nodded and inquired, Are there any casualties? No, right? That's great. You guys are very lucky. Come, please rest here. Don't worry. After resting, we will send you back to your country as soon as possible. Before that, we hope to get your help. Can you tell us about the situation at the bottom of the valley? Are there any survivors down there? I don't know. I think they're all dead. We managed to avoid a disaster in the anthole. When we came out, everyone was already dead. There were even meteors falling from the sky. The whole valley was a mess. We were almost buried, Yu Yang said lightly. It seems like this incident was caused by the golden ant egg. Yi Kong added, those mercenaries have all gone crazy. Fatty Hai pretended to be frightened. We're back to look for our companion. Her name is Anan. We'll set off 2 days later. Please help us check if she's already here. Yu Bing was most worried about her sister Anan's safety. Very good. Thank you for the information you provided. We will record in your training and give you extra points. As for your companions, we will follow up. If your companions are still in Hope Town, we will bring them to you as soon as possible. The squad leader led Yu Yang and the others to a well-preserved hut and sent someone to deliver hot water and steamed buns. After registering Yu Yang and the others' names, the squad leader hurriedly left. About half an hour later, a man dressed like a general pushed open the door and entered. The squad leader respectfully followed behind him. Seeing Yu Yang and the others' wary expressions, the squad leader hurriedly waved his hands. Students, it's all right. Our general just wants to understand the situation in the valley. This matter might not be simple. We need the help of the Xia Empire's students. It's all right. Everyone sit down and talk. The general, who was originally solemn and frowning, also tried his best to smile. Students, I'm Ma Xing Kong. You can call me Old Ma. Old General Ma. Yi Kong and Fatty Hai cooperated with each other and called out in unison. There's no record of your companion. He should be as lucky as you and escape from this disaster. Or maybe he hasn't come yet. Students, can you tell us what happened? That old General Ma stretched out his hand and patted Fatty Hai's shoulder. Then, he pretended to be easygoing and sat in front of Yi Yang. With one look, he could tell that this low-key masked young man was the backbone of this team. A man who had a silver-ranked level 4 two-headed demon wolf as a pet. Old General Ma did not doubt his ability to survive. With him around, it was normal for this group to return safe and sound. Even if this young man was unusually low-key, the crescent blade on his back had unknowingly exposed the fact that he was a rancor. This was the weapon of a demon general. There was not a single weapon shop in the Soaring Dragon continent that sold this kind of demon weapon. Old General Ma knew that if he wanted to understand the ins and outs of the entire incident, this young man in front of him might be able to give him the best answer. Yi Kong drank a mouthful of hot tea and pretended to be extremely cooperative. He enthusiastically described the incident. We were originally training and leveling up in the anthole, but we suddenly heard a cry for help coming from the depths of the anthole. We wanted to go and save them, but the anthole was in chaos. There were countless fire-red ants, so we were trapped instead. I know it the best. I'm their boss. It was very dangerous at that time, so I decided to leave the ant hole and return to the surface. Fatty Hai acted as if he was the boss. When we came out, we found that the mercenaries had all gone crazy. They were slashing and killing anyone they saw. Li Chia recounted the tragic scene at that time. Afterwards, we were also involved in the battle. But luckily, we found a square rock to hide in. Li Gun nodded. What happened after that? It wasn't that old General Ma didn't believe their words, but he felt that what they said was only one-sided. The one who truly knew the truth was the masked brat in front of him, who had not spoken a single word. He believed that he was the team leader and the true boss of this small team. I didn't leave the ant hole, so I wasn't clear about the situation of the battle outside. Yu Yang felt that if he didn't say anything, he wouldn't be able to hide it from his old General Ma, who looked rough but was actually very meticulous. Of course, Yu Yang wouldn't tell him about the battle with the Marquis of Zijin, but he told him about what happened in the ant hole. When I entered the ant nest, I found that there were thousands of ants in chaos. In the second layer of the ant nest, countless mercenaries were fighting against the fire-red ants. There were also some who were killing each other. Those mercenaries who had the golden ant eggs were trapped on a platform. The situation was extremely dangerous. Out of humanitarianism, I went to rescue them and gave them teleportation scrolls. Furthermore, I opened up a path and sent those mercenaries into the ant path. Their leader was called Zheng Hao. If you can find him, then you can prove that what I said is true. Yu Yang made a probe to see if that Zheng Hao from a mercenary group was still alive. He was 90% sure that Zheng Hao had not survived, because if that Zheng Hao was still alive, then old General Ma would know that he had obtained the hard-shelled dragon fruit. He wouldn't ask about the golden ant eggs anymore, and he wouldn't even know how crazy the mercenaries were. When old General Ma heard this, he paused for a moment and said with certainty, there was indeed a Zheng Hao. He had escaped back to Hope Town and asked for help from our guards. However, they were attacked by bandits, and the guard were all killed in battle. Zheng Hao and his companions were also captured by the enemy. After that, a chaotic battle broke out. The mercenaries seemed to know about the golden ant eggs and started killing everyone they saw. However, I suspect that the enemy had used some kind of poison to make them go crazy. Otherwise, the mercenaries wouldn't have gone crazy to the point of losing their rationality for the golden ant eggs. What made me even more suspicious was that someone had used some kind of treasure to disrupt the space between Hope Town and the camp. Hence, teleportation was not possible, and there were very few people who escaped. Little student, can you tell me more about the meteor bombardment? He felt that Yu Yang's team was definitely related to the meteor bombardment. Maybe the enemy had discovered that there were still survivors, and that they were strong, so they summoned the meteors. In order to cover up the matter regarding the hard-shelled dragon fruit, the Marquis of Zijin, Grandma Qi, and the Medicine Encyclopedia, Yu Yang decided to throw out the later part of the battle to divert old General Ma's attention. He narrated in a calm voice, when I killed my way out of the ant nest filled with thousands of ants, I discovered that my companions were being surrounded and attacked by enemies. Among them were 2 level 5 Grandmasters and a level 6 Elder. They hid in the crowd and encouraged the mercenaries to surround and attack my companions. When they discovered that I had returned, they summoned a forest boa, a bronze-skinned lion, and an iron-boned leopard. They even summoned a giant mammoth to attack me. I fell into a bitter battle. The opponent's level 6 Elder, who was hiding in the crowd, had even summoned 5 meteors. I took a risk and interrupted his summoning. In the end, the meteors backfired and crashed towards them. In the end, the mountain peak also collapsed. When we woke up from the shock, they had already been picked up by their companions in the sky. There were many flying beasts in the sky, and there were at least 200 people. They had all left after the meteors crashed into the valley. Can you describe the appearance of the Elder who summoned the meteors? Old General Ma furrowed his brows. He could tell that although this young man's description was simple, it didn't seem like he was lying. If there was really a level 6 Elder who had participated in this matter and even summoned meteors to silence them, then things would become complicated. This matter would be 10 times more serious than he had imagined. Yu Yang secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that old General Ma would temporarily not suspect or pay attention to his experience in the ant-hole. Instead, he would place all his attention on that level 6 Elder. This was the small detour that Yu Yang had given old General Ma to divert his attention. Looks like this matter wasn't about an enemy who was chasing after him. Since it had nothing to do with him, Yu Yang decided to stay out of this matter. He couldn't be bothered to care about the country's affairs and conspiracies. It would be better for him to concentrate on his personal affairs. Old General Ma wanted to describe the appearance of the level 6 Elder. Yu Yang generously described the appearance of the person who summoned the meteors, the appearance of the other level 6 Elder, and the appearance of the 2 masters. Yu Yang even pretended not to know that there were 2 level 6 Elders. He only said that the person who summoned the meteors was a level 6 beginner, Elder, and all the mercenaries called that person Sir. When he said this, old General Ma's expression immediately changed. It was obvious that old General Ma knew the 2 Elders, and he was very familiar with them. Thank you very much. You have helped our Tian Luo kingdom to uncover a terrifying conspiracy. After we have investigated this thoroughly, we will definitely report this to the Emperor and ask him to give you a special reward. Right now, we suspect that the enemy is still trying to cover up and erase this matter. Please don't leave for the time being. We will gather more experts here, and we will also inform your academy's teachers to come over and bring you home. Of course, don't worry, we will definitely protect your lives. We are an army, and we have the strength to do so. Before old General Ma could finish speaking, a sudden roar came from outside. A huge shockwave shook the wooden door open with a paw sound. The entire floor trembled nonstop, and the mud and dust on the beams continuously fell. The sound of an incomparably sharp alarm rang out. The anger in old General Ma's eyes was like a volcano that was about to erupt. He calmly stood up. Before he left, he didn't forget to comfort Yu Yang and the others. Don't be afraid. No matter what happens, we have the ability to protect you. Stay in the house for the time being. I will go out and take a look. Yu Yang felt that this result was a little inconceivable. Tian Luo Kingdom had already mobilized their army, but those evildoers still dared to brazenly launch an attack. Who exactly were these fugitives? What kind of earth-shattering secret was hidden in the despair abyss that made them do this at all costs? For a moment, Yu Yang's heart was filled with great curiosity. Could it be that there was something more important than the golden ant eggs and the hard-shell dragon fruit here? Chapter 159. A screech rang out in the sky. The sound was sharp, like an awl piercing through the night sky. Yu Yang felt that this sound was a little familiar. It sounded like the Bloody Queen's banshee scream, but it wasn't as clear and shrill as the Bloody Queen's banshee scream. It also didn't have a soul-shaking feeling, but instead had a kind of annoying noise. This kind of sound wasn't as lethal as the banshee scream, but it was unpleasant to listen to. It made people feel disgusted and annoyed. It's the harpies. Oh my God, it's those demons from the falling Kang Mountain. The team leader rushed to the door and trembled. At this time, there were countless flying beasts flying past in the sky. A small number of them could be seen clearly in the light of the fire, but most of them were hidden in the darkness high up in the sky. Yu Yang could only judge that there were groups of flying beasts flying overhead from the movement of the air and the sound of flapping wings. Yu Yang's eyes shared Queen Vivian Li's night vision ability. He could see clearly in a dark hole without any light, let alone now. Within Yu Yang's field of vision, there were at least tens of thousands of different kinds of flying beasts circling in the sky. At the highest point, there were giant eagles and flying dragons circling in the sky. In the middle, there were harpies with black bodies. These harpies were different from the harpies in Tongtian Tower Space Pavilion. These harpies looked extremely ugly and evil. They were covered in wrinkles and looked very disgusting. At the bottom, there were some carrion crows, drummed-wing lizards, skin membrane rats, flat snakes, and a large number of giant bats. They made all kinds of noises as they searched for their targets, swooping down from different parts of the town to attack the people. The screeches that Yu Yang heard earlier were the screeches of those ugly harpies when they swooped down to attack the soldiers on the ground. Falling Kang Mountain? He had never heard of this place before. Falling Kang Mountain? On the contrary, Fatty Hai was so scared that his whole body trembled as if he had seen a ghost. What's going on? Master Hai, quickly tell everyone about it. Yu Bing had never heard of this place before. Falling Kang Mountain, was there such a place in the soaring dragon continent? Just as Yu Yang was paying attention to Fatty Hai's reaction, he suddenly heard the sound of another animal. This sound was extremely soft. However, in Yu Yang's ears, it was extremely clear. It made one's blood run cold. That was the sound of one of the three great killers of the Abyss of Despair, the giant spider, crawling. The low-level scavengers that had been loitering outside the town fled in fright, but other than the jackals and hyenas that were the fastest, most of them could not escape the giant spider's hunt. Yu Yang went out and leaped onto the roof. He looked down at the slope at the bottom of the mountain, and his heart skipped a beat. He did not know how many giant spiders there were, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands. They crawled all over the mountain and surrounded Hopetown. These giant spiders that had never left the Despair Abyss had strangely come out of their nests and attacked Hopetown. Yu Yang frowned. If there was no special lure, it would be impossible for so many giant spiders to leave the Despair Abyss, and even more impossible for all of them to hunt for food in Hopetown. Below the house, Fatty High's face was pale. He wiped his cold sweat and said with a trembling voice, "The falling Kang Mountain is a terrifying place. It is located somewhere in the ocean, on a huge island. It is very far away from our soaring dragon continent, and there are many terrifying monsters there. That place is also known as the abandoned land of the gods, which means that even the gods have abandoned it. In the soaring dragon continent, there are some warriors who have committed the most heinous crimes and are not tolerated by the world. They have escaped there and formed a demonic palace that specializes in destroying the peace of the soaring dragon continent. It is said that the falling Kang Mountain is a place that is even more terrifying than the demon abyss. All living creatures are corrupted creatures. Anyone who enters the falling Kang Mountain will be assimilated by those evil creatures and become an indulgent and crazy, corrupted person." Demonic palace? Yi Kong was stunned. He was very surprised that Fatty High's knowledge was not even half of his, but he knew a secret that he had never heard of. Is there really such a place? Why haven't I heard of it before? Yu Bing was still skeptical. There should be, Li Chia and Li Gu said in unison. When they thought of the mercenaries' craziness, they felt that Fatty High's words made sense. Those mercenaries who fought crazily, didn't they look like corrupted people who had been assimilated by the evil creatures? For the sake of the golden ant eggs, they were crazy to the extent that they did not care about their family, friends, brothers and sisters, and killed anyone they saw. If it wasn't for the influence of this corrupted person from the falling Kang Mountain, the mercenaries would not be so abnormal. With regards to the existence of the falling Kang Mountain's demonic palace, Yu Yang was not surprised. For thousands of years, there were countless kingdoms in the soaring dragon continent that were defeated in the struggle for power. The winners were the kings, and the losers were the villains. Countless old and young who survived escaped overseas. It was not strange for them to form such an organization to fight against the soaring dragon continent. However, they had such great power that it made Yu Yang a little suspicious. If it wasn't for the support of an innate rancor, how could a group of defeated fugitives have such power to threaten the Tian Luo kingdom? One must know that the combined power of the Tian Luo kingdom was above that of Xia and Zijin. They were publicly acknowledged as the strongest kingdom. Even compared to the battle-hungry Zijin kingdom, Tian Luo kingdom was still slightly better. Yu Yang thought about the real and fake elder Tian Suo in the Xia kingdom's medical center and the mercenary frenzy today. He felt that there was a turbulent undercurrent in the soaring dragon continent. First, they attacked the poisoned soldiers of the Xia kingdom, sowing discord between the Xia kingdom and the floating mist sect. This time, they created the golden ant eggs incident, causing the mercenary frenzy and even the 1,000 beasts encirclement tonight. It seemed that there was indeed a powerful mastermind behind the scenes manipulating all these things. If there wasn't the support of an innate rancor or the support of a powerful sect, it would be impossible to fight against a kingdom like the Xia and Tian Luo. Thinking further, the pitiful guy's father, Yu Qiu, the Yu clan's greatest hope as a genius warrior, was he killed by the demonic palace? The pitiful guy's annulment of the engagement and suicide, were they also related to the demonic palace? Also, Inan seemed to have bad blood with the demonic palace. Looking at it now, Wu Yi, Xiehua, and the others are definitely people from the demonic palace. Especially Xiehua, who was able to summon the demon king Ha-Xian through a blood sacrifice. If he wasn't a degenerate from the demonic palace, how could he have such great power? In short, many things were still a mystery. There was no truth and no answer, unless you want to look for it and expose it. General, the teleportation circle is being disrupted. A cry of surprise came from the teleportation circle. It turned out that the figures that were continuously being teleported were suddenly interrupted. A black pillar of light strangely floated above the teleportation circle, causing the teleportation circle to be unable to operate normally. What's going on? The people who had just teleported out were in a mess. Hurricane Scout Team, return to the capital and request for reinforcements. Old General Ma's thick eyebrows furrowed even more as he hurriedly waved his hand and gave the order. The personal guards behind him immediately scattered in all directions. Everyone ran 100 meters away and opened their teleportation scrolls one by one. When the flying beasts in the sky saw the white light appearing below, they all swooped down. On the other hand, some degenerate warriors who were riding on flying beasts and hiding in the darkness used their crossbows or strong bows to shoot down these soldiers who were returning to ask for reinforcements. Old General Ma waved his hand, and countless soldiers raised their shields in a well-trained manner, blocking the arrows for their companions. There were also archers who raised their bows and shot arrows toward the sky. The Hurricane Scout team's scattered teleportation had greatly dispersed the enemy's firepower. At the same time, 20 teleportation doors appeared in Hopetown. Even so, there were still many soldiers who tried to escape back to help, but were shot down by the warriors in the sky. Only a small number of soldiers managed to escape through the teleportation door in time. The teleportation failed. The space has been distorted by someone. The officer in charge of the teleportation circle was very experienced. With one look, he could tell that the teleportation was not completely successful. Even though the teleportation was successful, the space had been distorted by the enemy's treasure. The teleportation distance was probably 1,000 miles away from the real destination. It was impossible for them to ask for help. When old General Ma heard this, his expression changed slightly. However, he was still calm and composed. He waved his hand and gave the order, "Everyone defend. Hurricane Scout team, follow me and advance." Yes, hundreds of elite soldiers responded loudly and gathered behind old General Ma. "You guys quickly retreat back into the house. A huge battle is about to break out. Don't worry, I will protect your safety." Even though the squad leader was so scared that his lips were trembling, he still forced himself to calm down and let Yu Yang and the others enter the house. He then used his tall and sturdy body to block the entrance. Even the hand that was holding onto the blade could not stop trembling. When Yu Yang saw this, he didn't know whether to laugh or to be angry. How dare he say that he would protect me with his mediocre skills? "Yu Yang, Yu Bing, Yi Kong, Master Hai, are you guys there?" Suddenly, a shout came from afar in the noisy environment. "It's Sister Anan." "Oh no, it's Brother Anan." Fatty Hai reacted the fastest to a beauty's voice. When he heard it, he immediately jumped up. His speed was extremely fast as he knocked the squad leader away. He stepped on the squad leader's body and rushed out of the door, shouting everywhere, "We're here, we're here! Anan, where are you?" "Over there." Yu Bing's eyes were sharp. She immediately discovered Anan, who was dressed as a thief, standing at the edge of the teleportation circle in the middle of the town. She hurriedly waved her hand. "I'm here. It's dangerous over there. Come quickly." In the sky, a flying dragon flapped its huge wings and spiraled downwards. It stretched out its huge, sharp claws, preparing to grab Anan, who was anxiously calling for her companions. Fatty Hai was so anxious that he wished he could grow 8 legs and rush over. However, compared to the flying dragon, his speed was as slow as a turtle's crawl. Yi Kong's speed was slightly faster than him, but he couldn't rush over to save her in time. What's worse was that Anan had just teleported here not long ago. She hadn't understood the situation yet. When she discovered that her surroundings were in a mess, she only hurriedly called for her companions. She didn't notice that there were thousands of flying beasts circling in the sky. She didn't even notice that a flying dragon was attacking her from above. "Quickly dodge, dodge." Yu Bing's shouts were affected by the noisy surroundings and couldn't reach Anan's ears clearly. Just as the flying dragon's eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light and its claws reached for Anan's body, a purple flame soared into the sky. Anan turned around and was shocked to find that Yu Yang was like a demon god as he brandished his demon blade that was covered in purple flames and chopped down towards his head. His eyes were immediately stunned. He had not seen him for a long time. Why did he want to kill him the moment they met? The light of the blade flashed past. Just when Anan thought that she was going to die, she suddenly found that the light of the blade had slashed past her head, strangely hitting nothing. Boom! A loud sound rang out. He only saw a burst of blood splatter, sprinkling down like raindrops. Immediately after, there was the mournful cry of a magical beast. Then he heard a huge shadow flash, and then it fell straight in front of him. Its long tail swept wildly, and its huge wings flapped wildly. Above it, Enan realized that Yu Yang was like a majestic god of war, waving his two blades left and right, slashing wildly. His power was like a thunderbolt, and every strike caused the monster's blood to splatter as it wailed unceasingly. That beast was heavily injured. It flapped its wings as if it wanted to escape back to the sky. Enan found that Yu Yang, whom she couldn't forget even in her dreams, had actually abandoned his two blades. Instead, he pulled the flying dragon's huge tail and ruthlessly smashed it onto the ground. That domineering aura was simply hating the heavens and earth for not having a handle. Boom! The ground shook. The flying dragon heavily smashed onto the ground. Its wings were broken, its limbs were broken, its neck was broken, and its head exploded. Blood flowed freely. After struggling for a few moments, it fell dead in front of him. In the flames, his back view was as mighty as a god of war, outstanding and unparalleled. This was the man who had barged into her heart. Enan's heart was filled with excitement. She couldn't help but rush forward and hug him tightly from the back. Although she liked him very much, tears inexplicably welled up in her eyes. These were not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. There was the excitement of reuniting after a long time, the surprise of his unexpected appearance, the excitement of him saving the damsel in distress, and the indescribable longing in her heart for him. Chapter 160. Arrows rained down from the sky. With a spherical beheader, Yu Yang deflected all the arrows towards the sky, causing all the attackers to tremble in fear. It was a pity that Yu Yang had yet to fully master the combination of yin and yang and space teleportation. Otherwise, these guys who liked to shoot arrows in the dark would be in big trouble. The combination of spherical slash and teleportation ripple was Yu Yang's new attempt. After the slash, Yu Yang had a new realization in his heart. He felt that he had experienced many big battles, especially the battle with the Marquis of Zijin. He felt that he was able to reach a higher level, and breakthrough was not far away. He just lacked a little bit of opportunity to do so. The arrow attack just now was a chance for him to break through. It was a pity that he was not fully prepared. Otherwise, he would have successfully leaped past his current realm and reached a new realm. Although the arrows that were deflected by Yu Yang slash were not very high and were all deflected in a parabolic trajectory, they did not pose a threat to most of the flying beasts. However, some of the predatory crows, drumming lizards, and giant bats that were greedy and rushed forward to attack the soldiers were unlucky. They crashed into the rain of arrows and fell to the ground one after another. Their bodies were full of arrows. Even if they did not die on the spot, they would not be able to get up. The soldiers rushed forward and chopped them into meat paste. Pay attention. Keep circling. The leader who had been paying attention to Yu Yang for a long time in the canyon ordered his subordinates not to cause a commotion and not to take the initiative to attack Yu Yang. He realized that the arrows were useless against Yu Yang. Ordinary attacks were nothing but a joke to such an expert. They had to use the tactic of fighting soldiers against soldiers and strong warriors against strong warriors to eliminate the biggest threat. Otherwise, their plan to surround the town tonight would be difficult to achieve. Old General Ma saw everything that happened with his own eyes. Although he did not say anything on the surface, he was secretly happy. Before this, he already knew that this masked brat had extraordinary strength. However, due to his identity as a student of the Xia Kingdom, he could not use him to serve the Tian Luo Kingdom. Now that he had taken the initiative to attack the enemy and save his companions, greatly sharing his worries and effectively deterring the enemies in the sky, it was the best news in this dangerous situation. At this moment in Hope Town, every additional bit of combat strength was an additional helping hand. This was especially so for the soldiers, mercenaries, and civilians of Hope Town. The masked kid's strength was not inferior to his, and it was a blessing from the heavens. He might not go all out to help Hope Town, but he would protect his comrades. To the enemies who were plotting to besiege Hope Town, it was a great threat and an unexpected blow. Those enemies would never have thought that such a powerful opponent would appear unexpectedly in Hope Town. For the entire plan, such an oversight might be the beginning of failure and collapse. Therefore, old General Ma was secretly delighted that Yu Yang had taken action to defeat the enemy. The situation was critical. He didn't have time to express his gratitude to Yu Yang. He hurriedly led the elite soldiers to fight back against the giant spiders that had invaded the town. Use fire. Spiders are afraid of fire. Old General Ma had a lot of battle experience. With a wave of his hand, the soldiers behind him shot out fire arrows one after another. Following that, many soldiers threw out burning oil and torches, burning the giant spiders that had just climbed into the town's walls. Are you all right? Yu Yang really enjoyed the wonderful feeling of Anan's fragrant and soft body hugging him. It was too comfortable. He couldn't help but reach out his evil wolfish hands and caress her back. No, I'm all right. Anan discovered that when his burning hot hands caressed her back, the skin on her entire body started to tremble. In the end, she discovered that this big bad guy's hands were a little lower, almost reaching her butt. She hurriedly pulled his hands back and placed them on the back of her waist. She couldn't bear to let go of him just like that. Furthermore, she felt that the feeling of him hugging her back was very comfortable. She felt a sense of security in her heart, and at the same time, there was a kind of blissful feeling as if their bodies and minds were one. When he turned his head and asked in a low voice, Anan was afraid that he would see the tears on her face. She hurriedly lowered her head and secretly wiped them away. Sister Anan, Brother Anan. Yu Bing was still young and didn't really understand the concept of love. She didn't realize that her brother and future sister-in-law were currently enjoying a warm moment. Seeing that Yu Bing had escaped from danger, she excitedly ran over, opened her arms, and hugged Yu Yang and Yunin tightly, hugging them in her embrace. Brother Anan, it's great that you're all right. Fatty Hai also wanted to pretend that he didn't know anything. He opened his hands, but Yi Kong kicked him until he fell flat on his face. When everyone surrounded her, Anan immediately felt embarrassed. Fatty Hai and Yi Kong were fine, but Anan already knew that they had already found out that she was a girl. However, in front of Yi Yang, she still wanted to maintain her identity as Brother Anan. This way, he would tell her more from the bottom of his heart, and say things that she would never be able to hear as a girl. In order to prevent Yu Yang from getting suspicious and misunderstanding, Anan explained vaguely, there's a custom in my hometown. When people meet again after a long time, they would usually hug to express their affection and wish each other well. Just like this, Anan said as she gave Yu Bing a hug. Yu Yang secretly laughed in his heart, but pretended to be confused on the surface. He deliberately sighed. This custom isn't that good. If it's hugging a beauty, it's fine. But hugging a man doesn't feel good at all. Yu Yang even pretended to have goosebumps all over his body, indicating that he felt uncomfortable after hugging Anan. Anan almost wanted to kick him. She had never seen such an idiot before. When Fatty Hai heard this, he immediately pretended to be excited. I like the custom in Anan's hometown. Come, let's hug too. Yi Kong and the Li brothers simultaneously beat him to the ground. Yi Kong pounced on him and gave him a good beating. My hometown's custom is to beat up any annoying fellow we see, just like now. The Li brothers took advantage of the chaos and kicked Fatty Hai's fleshy buttocks, nodding seriously. Coincidentally, our hometown also has this custom. Anan secretly laughed when she saw this. Thinking that this mess was caused by her, she felt embarrassed. She hurriedly pulled Yu Yang and Yu Bing away, so that Fatty Hai wouldn't say anything wrong and suffer even more. She first said a few words to Yu Bing, then asked Yu Yang, how was it? How many days did you study in the academy? Did you see any beauties or anything like that? Yu Bing was afraid that her future sister-in-law would be jealous, so she hurriedly gave Yu Yang a look, telling him not to talk nonsense. However, Yu Yang pretended not to see it. He put one hand on Anan's shoulder and said, I didn't see any beauties. I mainly went to school. However, on the first day, I picked up an extremely hot drunken cat downstairs. TSK, TSK. That body was really good. If there's a chance next time, I'll tell you in detail. I guarantee that you'll salivate. Yu Bing covered her forehead. She had a headache, thinking that her future sister-in-law would definitely eat 3 bowls of vinegar. Really? What happened to that drunken cat? It would be a lie if Anan said that she wasn't jealous at all. However, she believed that Yu Yang wouldn't bring drunken cat back to push her down the moment he picked her up. At most, he would be a hero saving the damsel in distress and wake up drunken cat. Next, I brought her back to the dormitory. If she didn't have a gold-ranked beast, little panda Nyonyo, to protect her, hee. Yu Yang laughed evilly as he patted Anan's shoulder, meaning to say, "We're both men, you know this." Yu Yang's perverted expression made Anan extremely depressed. There was a beauty standing in front of him, yet he didn't recognize her, and he even told her to push down drunken cat. He was really an idiot that made people both angry and ridiculous. Brother was actually very obedient. He immediately went to read after we brought her back. When drunken cat woke up, she immediately beat Yi Kong, Master Hai, and the others up. Because brother was very obedient, he followed me outside to read and research beasts, so he didn't get beaten up. Yu Bing hurriedly put in good words for her brother. Not at all. She even left me a note to prove that she couldn't forget me. Yu Yang was immensely proud of himself, expressing that he was extremely handsome. A beauty had left a love letter. What note? Anan was indeed very nervous when she heard it. Look, isn't this? Yu Yang took out a note from his bosom. Anan hurriedly snatched it over. When she saw that it was a cute little paw print, she couldn't understand. What did this mean? An agreed secret code? A secret love letter? Anan, brother Anan, this was left for him by little panda Nyonyo. She likes to eat sweets. Yu Bing giggled. So it's like this. Congratulations, Yu Yang. You've successfully captured a little girl's heart. When Anan saw Yu Bing's secret hand gesture, she realized that little panda girl Nyonyo was actually a child. She immediately laughed in her heart and felt ashamed of her nervousness. Why did she get jealous of a little girl? Although this brat was handsome, he was actually a big idiot. Because he had stayed at home for too long, he didn't know how to please girls. Moreover, he covered his face all day, so it would be a wonder if any girls would like him. They were fated. Although he acted like a wolf, he still belonged to her. No one else could snatch him away. Anan was happy when she thought about it. She didn't care about Yu Yang's big hands hugging her shoulders. Instead, she leaned closer to him. She also didn't care that Yu Bing was beside her. Since she already saw herself as her future sister-in-law, she didn't need to hide from her. She asked shyly in a low voice, "It's easy to see beautiful girls. I'll introduce my sister to you next time. I guarantee that you'll drool when you see her. If you want to see her, I'll arrange it for you. Do you want to see her? We'll talk about this later." Yu Yang pretended that it wasn't convenient for him to express his thoughts with Yu Bing by his side. However, he acted as if he couldn't wait to see her. This made Yu Bing secretly laugh, while Anan felt very happy. After the small gathering, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai came over. Everyone became nervous about the situation again. The flying beasts in the sky temporarily did not move. They all landed on the rocks on top of the mountain, looking down at Hope Town. On the walls of the town, countless giant spiders were climbing in. Venom and spider webs flew everywhere. From time to time, soldiers would be caught by the spider webs. Fortunately, there were many soldiers defending the town. Furthermore, there were elite soldiers standing guard at every distance. The moment they saw the spider webs, they would immediately burn them. The spider webs, which were immune to swords, were extremely afraid of fire. They would melt as soon as they were burned. There weren't many casualties among the soldiers at the moment. Those who were poisoned were bitten by the smaller spiders. With the help of the antidote, as long as the soldiers weren't bitten in vital parts and were treated in time, their lives wouldn't be in danger. However, this was only the beginning of the attack. The number of giant spiders that the soldiers had killed was not even 1,000th of the total number. Furthermore, there were still countless spiders crawling out from the despair abyss. They were densely packed, covering the entire hillside. It was a ghastly sight. Old General Ma frowned. He could see that the soldiers had used up a lot of energy. Their beasts were also starting to get injured. Now that there was no one to rescue them, these spiders wouldn't be able to be completely killed even after a day and a night. On the hilltop, there were still thousands of flying beasts and hundreds of corrupted warriors eyeing them like tigers watching their prey, waiting for the best opportunity to attack. In this battle, the initiative was completely in the hands of the enemy. It was a battle of life and death. If that masked brat was willing to lend them a hand, they might be able to hold on until dawn. Otherwise, with just the 2,000 soldiers under them, they definitely wouldn't be able to survive the night. Old General Ma looked towards Yu Yang's direction and suddenly realized that there was a warrior riding on a black steel feathered griffin in the sky. Ignoring the soldiers' attacks, he proudly stopped in midair and spoke to Yu Yang, stating his conditions. You are not soldiers, nor are you our targets. We have decided to let you live. Go, leave this place immediately. Everyone's gaze fell on Yu Yang. Some were worried that he would accept the conditions. Some were envious that he had the chance to leave. Some were resentful of his good luck. Some hoped that he would stay and fight alongside them. Some shook their heads in despair, and some begged with their eyes. There was only one message in Yi Kong and the rest gazes, and that was to firmly listen to Yu Yang's decision. They weren't willing to fight against a strong enemy, but they couldn't bear to abandon so many soldiers and leave alone. Hence, they chose to listen to him. As for Inan and Yu Bing, they definitely supported Yu Yang's decision. When I was 3 years old, my father taught me not to believe the enemy's words. Do you think that everyone is as stupid as you? Put away your tricks and save your saliva. No one will fall for your trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. When Yu Yang said this, the surrounding soldiers immediately heaved a sigh of relief and cheered. Even old General Ma, who was far away, nodded his head heavily. He had indeed not misjudged Yu Yang. Yu Yang did not fall for the trap, nor did he abandon his soldiers and leave alone. A good man should be like this. Old General Ma looked at Yu Yang. Suddenly, a sense of heroism and confidence rose in his heart. With this person here, the situation might not be hopeless. The expression of the warrior riding on the back of the black steel feathered griffin changed greatly. With regard to Yu Yang's reply, he seemed to feel extremely humiliated. In the end, he actually did a somersault and jumped down from the griffin's back. He pointed at Yu Yang and snorted coldly. Since you want to die, I will send you on your way. Don't think that you can be cocky just because you have some mediocre skills. We are just appreciating your talent. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame us for being merciless. Arrogant Junior, die. Yu Yang's level 3 divine vision could see through the enemy's hidden strength. This masked warrior was even stronger than the 2 junior elders that he met in front of the anthole. He should be a middle-level elder that possessed strengthening-type beasts and was proficient in combat skills. His strength was probably not below old General Moss. This fellow was also the strongest among all the corrupted warriors that Yu Yang had met before. There was only a difference of 1 rank, but he was 2 times stronger than the 2 junior elders that he met in front of the anthole. Yu Yang, who had fought against the Marquis of Zijin, was naturally not afraid of him. However, under the situation where it was inconvenient for Little Wen Li and the others to fight in front of everyone, Yu Yang reckoned that it would not be easy for him to kill him in one go. What made Yu Yang vigilant the most was that in the darkness, there was another warrior that was a few times stronger than this fellow, hiding somewhere and watching the battle. That person was the real leader of these attackers. Facing the enemy's arrogant challenge, Yu Yang's response was to yawn lazily. If you want to fight, then fight. What's the point of talking so much nonsense? Your long-winded speech is making me sleepy. Roar. Once he said this, the soldiers became excited as they raised their arms and shouted. Roar, roar, roar. They shouted in unison to boost Yu Yang's prestige. Their momentum was earth-shattering, their morale soaring. Chapter 161. Blackwing Tan Wu Fong. Your opponent is me. Old General Ma took the steel blade from his personal guard and strode towards him. In his heart, Yu Yang was a young man that could not be harmed. No matter if he needed help in times of crisis or diplomatic relations, it would be hard to explain. Only by protecting a young expert better would they be the greatest deterrence and harm to the enemy. Old General Ma knew what kind of person the black-winged Tan Wu Fong was. He was the black-winged human demon of the sky, earth, and human demons of the demonic palace. He was ranked 108th in the demonic palace of the falling Kang Mountain. On the surface, he was not ranked within the top 100, but it was not because he was not strong enough. If one were to look at the speed at which he rose from being ranked outside the top 3,000 in the past 10 years to continuously challenging and defeating hundreds of experts to obtain the 108th rank, one could see how powerful he was. Old General Ma estimated that the black-winged Tan Wu Fong was at least ranked within the top 100 in the demonic palace. He might even be ranked within the top 50. Old General Ma was very familiar with the black-winged Tan Wu Fong. He was a trader of the Tian Luo Kingdom 10 years ago. Before he escaped to the falling Kang Mountain, he dared to disguise himself as a bandit and kidnap the princess of the Xia Kingdom. After the robbery failed, the black-winged Tan Wu Fong was pursued by the rankers of the Xia Kingdom and the Tian Luo Kingdom. He was heavily injured several times and almost died, but he was still able to escape. It was only until one of the 5 elders of the Tian Luo Kingdom, Sandstorm, Wanli Sha, that he was arrested. However, on the day of his execution, he was rescued by the Sky Demon Rankers of the Demonic Palace, Sky Execution, Sky Law, and Sky Wrath. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong was also the only criminal that the Demonic Palace had sent out 3 Sky Demons to rescue. This showed how much importance the Demonic Palace placed on him. After his fatal injuries were healed, the originally crippled Tan Wu Fong regained his previous strength and even improved. Within a few years, his ranking had been outside the top 3,000. Through challenges, he had defeated hundreds of demons and continued to rise until he was ranked 108. Finally, he had been promoted to become a human devil, one of the 3 types of demons: heavenly, earthly, and human. This speed of improvement was almost close to the highest record of the falling Kang Mountain's ranking increase. It was only slightly lower than the record of the heavenly devil-level powerhouse Calamity, who had squeezed into the top 10 from outside the top 5,000 within 2 years. Although Old General Ma had never fought with the black-winged Tan Wu Fong before, he knew that this Tian Luo trader who had committed heinous crimes and killed people like Scything Flax was not any weaker than himself. He was worried that Yu Yang was too young and inexperienced and would be defeated by the black-winged Tan Wu's tricks. Hence, he decided to step forward bravely and face the traitor, the black-winged Tan Wu Fong. Ma Shinkong, I don't want to fight you. You're old. However, the black-winged Tan Wu Fong did not put Old General Ma in his eyes at all. Actually, Old General Ma was not old at all. It was just that he had a serious expression on his face, and his thick eyebrows were often knitted into knots. He was experienced and prudent when he did things. Coupled with the fact that he loved his soldiers like they were his own children, he was called Old General Ma by his subordinates. There's no use in angering me. Old General Ma was not affected at all. As he strode forward, he summoned a strengthening-type giant explosive bear to strengthen his body, transforming his arms into a bear. You're still as stupid as before. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong suddenly took out a crystal and summoned a ball of strange, colorless fog. As the mountain wind blew, the colorless fog dispersed in all directions. Everyone could smell a kind of rich and extremely fragrant smell, but no one felt uncomfortable. Instead, their mouths started to water, and they started to salivate. Especially Fatty Hai. His saliva had already turned into a waterfall. Old General Ma, whose steps were as heavy as a mountain, suddenly waved his steel blade in agony and struck it heavily on the ground. He first supported himself with his blade, but the iron-forged blade's hilt was bent by his immense strength. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Old General Ma stabbed his bear-like arms deeply into the rock. Although his expression did not seem to have changed much, and only his thick eyebrows were tightly knitted together, the attentive soldiers could see that Old General Ma's back was already drenched in sweat. His arms and legs that had been stabbed into the rock were also trembling slightly. It was very obvious that he had been ambushed by the black-winged Tan Wu Fong, and his body was in extreme pain. However, old General Ma's will was as strong as steel, and he continued to persevere with all his might. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong appeared in front of old General Ma. He raised his leg and kicked old General Ma, causing his body to sway unsteadily. He then stepped on old General Ma, whose face was covered in blood, and sneered disdainfully, "Ma Xing Kong, one of the 10 great generals of Tian Luo. Aren't you very strong? Get up, why don't you hit me? I'm stepping on you, aren't you angry? Come on, be angry, go crazy, raise your bare paws, and slap me to death. I'm definitely not angry. Don't ever think of angering me." Old General Ma's face was kicked swollen, but his gaze was as sharp as a knife and as calm as ice. "Traitor, how dare you defile the general? Hand over your life." Seeing old General Ma being humiliatingly stepped on by the black-winged Tan Wu Fong, the 2 Grandmaster-level deputy generals did not care about their own strength and bravely charged forward. "Annoying trash, Scram!" The black-winged Tan Wu Fong waved his hand, creating a strong gust of wind. The 2 deputy generals were sent flying more than 10 meters away, vomiting blood nonstop. "Everyone retreat. I can defeat this traitor." Old General Ma suddenly growled. His eyes turned red, and his whole body gradually transformed into a bear. However, he quickly suppressed his anger and returned to his original state. He then ordered his soldiers to retreat. So he's using the berserk honey to provoke him? It's just a child's play. Yu Yang used his level 3 divine vision to see through this black-winged Tan Wu Fong's tricks. This fellow had just summoned an extremely rare special-type beast, Berserk Beam Mist. That smoke was its honey powder. Any other beast would be fine if they smelled it, but only bear-type beasts would lose control and go berserk if they smelled it. This black-winged Tan Wu Fong was specifically targeted at old General Ma's beast, the giant explosion bear. He hoped that old General Ma would become berserk and lose control and become a homicidal maniac. He wanted old General Ma to slaughter the surrounding people like the mercenaries, achieving his goal of destroying Hope Town. As for old General Ma, he would rather be beaten up than get angry. He clenched his teeth and endured until the smell of the Berserk Beam Mist had completely dissipated. His strengthening-type beast was the giant explosion bear. Its defense and strength were incomparably terrifying, so he wasn't afraid of the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's kicks and beatings. It was only the verbal humiliation that made him feel a sense of crisis. "Ma Xingkong, look at yourself. Do you still look like one of the 10 great generals? Why don't you change your name to Pitiful Worm?" The black-winged Tan Wu Fong raised his big foot and stomped on old General Ma's face, humiliating him as much as he wanted. His words were extremely sharp and unkind as he continuously provoked him, hoping that old General Ma would be enraged and lose control, turning into a berserk giant bear that would go berserk and kill people. "I think that the name Pitiful Worm suits you quite well." Yu Yang had unknowingly appeared behind him. "What?" The black-winged Tan Wu Fong was shocked. Someone had actually sneaked up behind him without him knowing? "Let me show you how a person should stomp a pitiful worm to death." Yu Yang was very shameless. Normally, people would speak before they would attack. However, he wasn't like that. He would attack first before he spoke. He kicked the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's butt, sending him flying away. Only then did he speak in a leisurely manner. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong became even more furious. He turned his body in midair, preparing to fly downwards and attack Yu Yang. Suddenly, Yu Yang appeared behind him. He hugged his fists together and heavily punched the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's back. When his opponent crashed onto the ground like a meteor, Yu Yang even had the time to turn around and kick the black-winged Tan Wu Fong. He ruthlessly kicked the same spot on the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's back. Damn it! The black-winged Tan Wu Fong fell onto the ground. Even though he used his hands to support himself, he was still forced deep into the ground by the huge force. Without waiting for him to struggle out, Yu Yang slowly floated down in front of him. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong's eyes were immediately stunned. Wasn't his chasing speed a little too fast? I had fallen down, yet he still had the time to float down. What kind of beast did this brat summon? Why is his speed even faster than mine? The most despicable thing is yet to come. The corner of Yu Yang's mouth curled up into a smile that would make even demons tremble. He callously lifted his leg and heavily kicked the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's chin, sending him flying away like a rubber ball. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong flew more than 10 meters away. However, he immediately bounced back and roared like thunder. His speed was even faster than a gust of wind, and he attacked Yu Yang. Boom! As his fist landed on empty air, Yu Yang's afterimage disappeared. Unknowingly, Yu Yang had soundlessly appeared behind the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's back. Just as the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's eyes revealed a look of disbelief, Yu Yang's right hand pressed onto the back of his head and smashed the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's entire body onto the ground. Then, he forcefully pushed the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's head forward. Using the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's head, Yu Yang created a long mud pit on the hard ground and smashed him onto the wall. While he was struggling, Yu Yang's hand suddenly changed to grab his left leg and lifted the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's entire body up from the ground and smashed him onto the wall. Boom! A loud sound rang out. The wall exploded and collapsed, burying the black-winged Tan Wu Fong inside. The extremely arrogant black-winged Tan Wu Fong was practically beaten up by Yu Yang to the point where he didn't know which way was north, causing the soldiers to burst into cheers. The morale of the soldiers, which had dropped, once again rose by 100-fold. That's great. Beat that son of a B***TCH. Fatty Hai was so excited that his face turned red. When he saw Anan and Yu Bing looking at him, he immediately corrected himself. Actually, I'm a gentleman. That sentence just now was just for that uncultured monkey, Yikong. I pay great attention to my demeanor. You can see how polite I usually speak. I speak elegantly, kind-hearted, and enthusiastic about public welfare. A low-key person like me would never tell you that I once donated my pocket money to the people in the disaster area for charity. I was only 6 years old that year. Who hit me? Before he could finish his sentence, Yi Kong and the Li clan brothers used their fists and legs to teach him a lesson. In the darkness, a sharp, needle-like voice suddenly rang out coldly. Fool, he has already seen through your weakness. I have already said, do not summon the frenzied fog bee in front of an expert. That will greatly reduce your combat strength. Give me some time, I will personally kill him. The battered and exhausted black-winged Tan Wu Fong stood up from the rubble. He suppressed his anger and stared at Yu Yang. Don't make me wait too long. That sharp, needle-like voice harumphed and disappeared. You scared me to death. Mysterious expert, don't be too pretentious. You will be struck by lightning if you act too pretentious. Yu Yang sneered. At the same time, he took out his crescent blade and rushed towards the black-winged Tan Wu Fong with Hui Tai Lang on his left and right. His expression was that of, I'm going to get serious. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong was shocked. He hurriedly summoned the black steel-winged griffin from the sky and combined them into one. His body became sturdier and his muscles bulged. A pair of griffin wings grew out from his back, and his fingernails turned into terrifying sharp claws that could split gold and stone. In an instant, his combat strength increased by more than 10 times. Right now, he was in his strongest state, the black-winged human demon Tan Wu Fong. Just as the black-winged Tan Wu Fong was full of confidence and was about to tear Yu Yang into pieces, suddenly, the sharp, needle-like voice shouted anxiously, quickly remove the summon, remove the strengthening. Idiot, you have fallen into his trap. That brat has placed a few spores. Yu Yang added with a bright smile. Just as everyone was confused, the black-winged Tan Wu Fong, who was flapping his wings in the sky, suddenly fell to the ground like a wooden man. Chapter 162. Seeing that there was an opportunity, Hui Tai Lang immediately pounced forward and started to bite. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong had only lost some control over his body, but he had not completely lost his ability to fight. He struggled with all his might and raised his hands to counterattack. Everyone was shocked to see this scene. When Hui Tai Lang started to bite his shoulders, the black-winged Tan Wu Fong rolled and kicked in the air. When Hui Tai Lang jumped to one side and bit his legs, the black-winged Tan Wu Fong raised his hands and waved them around. He seemed to have lost control of his arms and legs. However, the power was still there. With a casual sweep of his claws, a deep crack would appear on the hard stone surface. The black-winged Tan Wu Fong flapped his wings and flew up into the sky. However, he had no sense of direction at all. He was like a blind fly, randomly bumping around. Sometimes he would fly up, sometimes he would crash into the wall, sometimes he would dive toward the ground. The more the black-winged Tan Wu Fong tried to control his body, the weirder his actions became. Everyone's gaze turned towards Yang. Everyone knew that this was his masterpiece. They just didn't know what he meant by releasing some spores. What a stupid fellow. In the darkness, a mysterious man wearing a cloak slowly appeared. His eyes were as green as a firefly's. The face that was hidden under the cloak was painted with a strange and unique pattern. With a wave of his huge sleeves, he swept the black-winged Tan Wu Fong onto the ground and pressed his right hand on the top of Tan Wu Fong's head. Tan Wu Fong, who was originally strong and powerful, was like a little worm in his hands, unable to struggle at all. A raging flame burst out from the mysterious man's palm. All of a sudden, everyone felt a wave of heat assaulting their faces, followed by the smell of burnt flesh. Then, they heard Tan Wu Fong let out a series of extremely painful screams. Tan Wu Fong fell to the ground, his whole body charred. Seeing this fellow's attack, the soldiers couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Forget about them. Even Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others were shocked to the point that their hearts trembled. He had killed the black-winged Tan Wu Fong in one move. Just now, when Yi Yang had beaten Tan Wu Fong until fallen flowers were running out of water, Tan Wu Fong did not suffer any serious injuries and still had a strong fighting ability. Now, this cloaked man had killed Tan Wu Fong with just one move. In that case, wouldn't the cloaked man's strength be much higher than Yi Yang's? Yi Kong and the rest's hearts were beating like drums, beating rapidly. When Yu Yang saw the mysterious cloaked man, he frowned slightly. He discovered that this mysterious cloaked man had used a very special type of fire energy to burn the black-winged Tan Wu Fong's entire body from inside out. He had even burnt the spores that he had planted in the Tan Wu Fong's body. Originally, the spores that were planted had fused with the strengthened beasts and merged into Tan Wu Fong's body. Unless the beasts were removed, it would be impossible to remove the effects. However, this mysterious cloaked man was able to use his flame force to burn the spores. Furthermore, his control over his flame force was just right. Not only did it not burn the black-winged Tan Wu Fong to death, it was also just enough to burn the spores. This kind of control was really ingenious. This mysterious cloaked man was definitely an expert who was proficient in using fire. No matter if it was his beasts, combat skills, or the nature of his body, they were all the perfect combination of fire energy. This guy was definitely the second strong enemy that he had met after the Marquis of Zijin. If he was not careful, he would easily suffer a loss in his hands. Facing a strong enemy, Yu Yang did not feel any fear. Instead, he felt a thirst for battle. His blood was boiling faintly. An enemy like this just happened to be the target of his battle. Every time he defeated an enemy like this, he believed that his strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Be careful. He is the phosphorescent demon Ding Zong. He is a demon that is extremely proficient in controlling fire. His strength is ranked 38th in the demonic palace, and he is the demon that has the highest chance of becoming a sky demon. Old General Ma's body swayed as he stood up from the ground. Although the smell of honey had not completely disappeared because the black-winged Tan Wu Fong had fainted, the frenzied bee's mist had also disappeared. It no longer affected old General Ma's bear transformation. It's 36. I had just killed 36's ghost face not long ago. The mysterious cloaked man added with a needle-like voice. It seems like he is the leader of the fallen raiders. Let's fight a strong enemy together. Old General Ma knew that he was very good at commanding troops to fight, but his strength was still far from the luminous demon Ding Zhang's. He had to face the enemy together with Yu Yang. Otherwise, this battle would be dangerous. You're not my opponent. Only you might be able to take 2 of my moves. The luminous demon Ding Zong did not even put old General Ma in his eyes. The old General Ma, who had transformed into a bear, roared like thunder as he charged forward. A pair of gigantic palms covered the sky and the earth as they smashed downwards. The luminous demon Ding Zong waved his huge sleeves, sweeping out raging flames that soared to the sky. Old General Ma hurriedly used both of his arms to block his eyes, but his entire body was forcefully pushed back by the flame force that was rushing towards him. He tried his best to stand firm, but the terrifying flame force pushed him away unstoppably. On the ground, a deep pit was left. Rocks and mud were sent flying, reaching a distance of a few meters. When everyone saw this, their expressions were all aghast. With just a wave of flame force, he was able to push old General Ma, who had boundless strength, back. Just how strong was this fellow? An even more terrifying scene happened. Old General Ma slowly put down his bear-like arms. The soldiers realized that the face that his arms were protecting was still burnt black. Under the gaze of thousands of people, old General Ma fell to the ground with a loud bang. It was still one move. Without even touching his body, he was defeated by the luminous demon Ding Zong. The 2 deputy generals hastily leapt forward and were about to lend their hands to save old General Ma. Suddenly, they cried out in fear. It turned out that when their hands grabbed onto old General Ma's shoulder armor, they realized that the steel shoulder armor had actually turned red from the heat. Terrifying. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others all swallowed their saliva simultaneously. On the other hand, Yu Bing and Inan looked at Yu Yang anxiously. They were all worried for Yu Yang. With regards to the luminous demon Ding Zhang's flames, although Yu Yang had a slight headache, he was not afraid. No matter how powerful this fellow was, compared to the Marquis of Zijin, there was still a gap. The Marquis of Zijin had fought with Grandma Qi after expending a large amount of his energy. He still had enough energy to kill Yu Yang instantly. In the end, he was defeated by Yu Yang. Why would he need to be afraid of the luminous demon Ding Zong? The only problem was that after the bitter battle with the Marquis of Zijin, he had also gone berserk twice. The innate qi in his body had been depleted too much. This was what gave Yu Yang a headache. However, it was precisely because of this kind of extreme challenge and dangerous situations that he could train and improve himself and break through himself. The corner of Yu Yang's lips curled up into a smile. He waved his hands towards Yu Bing and Yinan, telling them not to worry. At the same time, he took out his Hui Ji magic blade and walked towards the luminous demon Ding Zong in big strides. This is my hellfire. You guys will definitely not be able to defend against it. Ding Zong was very confident. His element-type beast was the hellfire. Unless it was a beast that countered it, anyone who fought against it would be at a disadvantage. Most importantly, this element-type hellfire was a guardian beast. It would never die and would never defect. Furthermore, it belonged to the hellfire attribute, so it was one of the best beasts in the world. With the gold-ranked level 6 hellfire, Ding Zong did not think that anyone below the level of a level 6 advanced elder would be able to defend against his attacks. Even if it was a level 6 advanced elder, if he did not have a beast that countered his element, he believed that he would also be defeated. Ghostface Mask, who was ranked 36th, was actually slightly stronger than him. However, in the end, he also died under his own hellfire. The hellfire was almost an invincible existence. Ding Zong was very confident. He did not think that the brat in front of him would be able to take one of his attacks. No matter if it was a strengthening-type beast or a beast-type beast, against his element-type hellfire, there would only be one result, being burned to death. Yu Yang walked forward step by step. He also had the confidence to obtain the final victory. The method was the one that he wanted to break through. The luminous demon Ding Zong waved his huge sleeves and shot out a raging flame that soared to the sky. Those raging flames seemed to have a life of their own as they brought along a hot wind and fiercely pounced towards Yu Yang. Many of his soldiers could not bear to watch anymore. Under this raging flame, The result would probably be the same as old General Ma, which was to be defeated by the enemy in one move. God bless us. Yu Bing and Anan both closed their eyes and prayed for Yu Yang. Ah! Fatty Hai let out a scream. Oh my God! Yi Kong and the Li brothers also cried out involuntarily. This scared Yu Bing and Anan to the point that they almost collapsed to the ground. When they opened their teary eyes, they saw that Yu Yang had been pushed back 10 meters by the hellfire, just like how old General Ma was pushed back. They could not help but cry out in fear. They were afraid that Yu Yang would be like old General Ma, falling to the ground the moment he let go. However, a miracle happened. Yu Yang put down the blade that was protecting his face. He did not fall to the ground like old General Ma. He continued to walk towards Ding Zong. Ding Zong could not believe his own eyes. This brat had obviously been hit by his attack. Why did he not fall? The anger in his heart exploded. A raging flame that was several times bigger than the previous one came crashing towards him. It formed a huge ball of raging flames that looked like a sun in his hand. Then, he angrily threw it towards Yu Yang. Boom. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Yu Yang welcomed it without dodging. He used his Hui Jin magic blade to meet the attack. A huge explosion sounded in the air. Everyone fell to the ground from the shock. Some of the roofs of the houses were blown away by the hot wind, and some of the walls had also collapsed. Yi Kong and the others who were bitterly persevering in the heat wave finally managed to withstand the suffocating heat wave. They then hurriedly raised their eyes to look for Yu Yang's figure. Yu Bing and Anan were already in a complete mess of tears. They did not know Yu Yang's true strength and were extremely worried about his safety. 30 meters away from Ding Zong, there was a lonely figure standing there. It was Yu Yang. He was still standing, holding his blade with both hands, not moving at all. Just when everyone was worried that he would fall like old General Ma, suddenly, Yu Yang's body moved, and he walked towards the luminous demon Ding Zong. This is impossible. Ding Zong was stunned. This brat's strength was obviously similar to Ma Xingkong's. How could he withstand his five-fold hellfire? Are you all right? Yi Kong could not help but shout. However, before he blurted it out, he left out Yu Yang's name. He definitely could not let the enemy know Yu Yang's name. Let's not talk about the outcome of this battle. The demonic palace's strength was so terrifying. It would not be a good thing for them to come knocking. This is child's play. I'm also an expert in playing with fire. Yu Yang suddenly revealed a bright smile and waved his hands towards Yu Bing and Anan, telling them not to worry. Tenfold hellfire. The luminous demon Ding Zong was extremely furious. His entire body was ignited in flames, and his cloak turned into ashes. His entire body was like a man on fire. A black-red pillar of fire soared into the sky, reaching a height of tens of meters. Then, it slowly condensed, forming a huge flame that looked like a fire dragon. It had a head, a body, wings, and a tail. The whole fire dragon carried a terrifying firestorm, tearing the sky and splitting the earth as it swallowed Yu Yang. At this time, Fatty Hai and Yu Bing had already summoned their grimoires and raised their shields. Only they, who were protected by their shields, were safe and sound. All the soldiers were blown away by the firestorm. The houses collapsed one after another, and the wood was set ablaze. The whole of Hope Town was covered in sand and stones, and the sky was dark. Only in the middle, they could see a fire dragon crazily swallowing a black dot. Yi Kong and the others cried out in their hearts. It's over. At this time, they no longer hoped that Yu Yang would be able to withstand it. They only hoped that he would summon his grimoire and raise his shield to defend himself, or use his movement skills to escape. Never take it head-on. That was not the hellfire that a human could resist. However, Yu Yang's movements were still as stubborn as before. He raised the Hui Jin magic blade in his hand and very deftly and smoothly drew out a ray of light. It was like a rainbow, like silk, and was as gentle as flowing water. The fire dragon swallowed the heavens and earth and met with Yu Yang's blade that was as gentle as water. Ding Zong felt that this brat was definitely finished. In the next second, he would be burnt to ashes by the fire dragon. the kind of weak blade light, and he wanted to destroy his tenfold hellfire? A cold smile appeared on Ding Zhang's lips. An ignorant brat seeking his own death. In the next second, under the nervous gazes of Yu Bing and Anan, Yu Yang did not let the fire dragon swallow him. Instead, he slowly rotated the fire dragon that was 100 times bigger than him. Every time he rotated, the fire dragon would shrink a little, and a mysterious ring of fire would appear in the sky. After Yu Yang rotated 9 times, there were 9 more rings of fire in the sky, revolving around Yu Yang's body mysteriously. Under his control, they became incomparably docile, without the slightest bit of explosive temper. Wah! Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were so excited that they jumped a few meters when they saw this. This is impossible. Ding Zong looked at everything in front of him in fear. He couldn't believe his own eyes at all. Although the soft blade was unable to extinguish the hellfire, Yu Yang was able to easily disperse the fire dragon into a stable ring of fire. Under the comprehension of the yin and yang polarity, Yu Yang had failed to control it twice before. On his third attempt, he had finally grasped the true control of the yang polarity. The control of the yin and yang abilities had always been the focus of Yu Yang's breakthrough. Now, Yu Yang could finally control the fire ability of the yang ability. In the instant that he had complete control of the fire ability, Yu Yang's heart felt incomparably expanded, as if the whole world, the whole sky, could be grasped in the palm of his hand. In that instant, he had already glimpsed the doorstep of the innate realm level 4. He believed that with another breakthrough, he would be able to ascend to the innate realm level 4. As long as he broke through to the innate realm level 4, not to mention the luminous demon Ding Zong, he would even be able to fight the Marquis of Zijin again. The feeling of being able to truly control the fire ability made Yu Yang extremely excited. From the start of Spherical Beheader to the time when he had complete control of the fire ability, he had only spent less than a month's time. Yu Yang sighed in his heart. He had only just started on the path of becoming a strong warrior. In front of him, he didn't know how many more mysteries were waiting for him. It wasn't impossible for the heavenly sword goddess's power to destroy the heavens and earth. It was just that he had only trained for a short period of time, and his skills were still shallow. One day, he would also be able to climb to that level, as long as he continued to improve and comprehend. The luminous demon Ding Zong looked at Yu Yang with a complicated gaze. Suddenly, he took out a teleportation scroll, disregarding the fact that he couldn't teleport accurately due to the distorted space, and immediately escaped. It was the first time that Yu Yang had seen a fellow who treasured his life so much. In the middle of the battle, he actually abandoned his comrade and escaped. The fallen warriors on a mountain peak were in an uproar, but very few of them were suppressed by the other leader. They still held their ground and refused to leave. It was obvious that the encirclement would continue. Old General Ma, who was heavily injured previously, suddenly struggled and stood up. He rushed towards Yu Yang and nodded his head heavily, saying, "Seems like Ding Zong has escaped back to the demonic palace to report to them. Can you help me break out of the encirclement and head towards the Tian Luo kingdom to ask for reinforcements? I hope that His Majesty can at least send a heavenly imperial guardian over. Only then can we be safe and sound. Otherwise, when the rankers from the demonic palace rush over to support us, all of us will be in grave danger." Yu Yang frowned slightly. "I'm only a student from the Xia kingdom. Will your majesty believe what I say?" Chapter 163. The general's tiger emblem in my hands can prove it. Old General Ma passed a tiger emblem to Yu Yang and warned him, "You must ensure that you can teleport to the capital. We can only hold on for an hour at most. I hope that you can use your fastest speed to rush to the imperial city and seek an audience with the emperor. Ask the emperor to send out the elders or the heavenly imperial guardians. Otherwise, we will be completely annihilated. We only have 3 teleportation scrolls left. It's not enough for all of you to leave. If you have teleportation scrolls with you, then quickly leave and return to the Xia." Old General Ma was implying that Yi Kong, Fatty High and the others were temporarily unable to help. Staying here would only put their lives in danger. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Yu Yang nodded his head and took the tiger emblem. The two deputy generals had already retracted the soldiers. The injured were in the middle while the elite soldiers surrounded them. The surrounding houses were lit up as much as possible. Flames rose to the sky. The giant spiders that were afraid of fire did not dare to approach them. The soldiers' lives were temporarily saved. As for the flying beasts in the sky, they were still observing. It was not the best time to attack yet. The soldiers had not dispersed yet and still had the strength to fight. Old General Ma's hurricane elite soldiers had very few injured. Every one of them was filled with killing intent, and their morale was high. The commander of the corrupted warriors was as calm and cautious as old General Ma. He would not attack easily, nor would he retreat. Although the luminous demon Ding Zong had been defeated by Yu Yang and escaped alone, and the black winged Tan Wu Fang had already been captured, this person was completely unmoved. There's no need to come back after an hour. Old General Ma's meaning was very clear. If the reinforcements did not arrive within an hour, then they would all be dead. It would be useless even if they came to rescue them. They might even fall into the enemy's trap. Yu Bing, let's go. Yu Yang grabbed the unconscious Tan Wu Fang and shouted towards Yu Bing and Anan. We're going back to the Xia. Yi Kong patted the shoulder of the squad leader who was in charge of receiving them. Looking at the guy who was trembling all over, he suddenly advised, "Why don't you come with us? We will return to Great Xia, but Yu Yang will be teleported to the capital of Heavenly State. He is not familiar with the place and needs a guide. You should come with us." I'll stay with the general. Long live the Holy Emperor. Long live the Tian Luo. The captain's ash-black face was expressionless, but his body was trembling. He forced himself to stand and shouted hoarsely. It could be seen that he was really scared, but he was not a coward. Yu Yang reckoned that this fellow was usually a young master soldier, or perhaps a descendant of a large family. It was already rare for him to be able to persevere like this in the face of danger for the first time on the battlefield. If it was someone else, they might fight for it, even if their head was smashed open. However, he refused and chose to stay. In the face of a hopeless situation, even if they were afraid, they wouldn't choose the path of survival. Instead, they chose to stay and fight together with their companions. This old General Ma was indeed skilled in leading troops. Old General Ma patted the captain's shoulder. He did not say anything, but his eyes were filled with praise. Wait for me to come back. I will definitely come back. Yu Yang made a promise to these soldiers who had placed all their hopes on him. Perhaps they might not be able to find reinforcements in an hour, but Yu Yang decided to come back and fight with these soldiers until the very last moment. Hui Tai Lang led the way in front, while Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the Li brothers followed closely behind. Yu Yang grabbed the unconscious black-winged Tan Wu Fang, who was tied up by the two deputy generals with one hand, and pulled Anan with the other. Yu Bing had already been tied onto his back. Behind them was old General Ma, who was determined to escort the troops out. Although he was heavily injured, he still had his battle power. The strength of his bear transformation was extremely shocking. He lifted up a huge flaming pillar and swept away the giant spiders that were rushing towards them. Once they rushed out of the town, Yu Yang told Anan to summon her grimoire and leave it at the same place. He waved his Hui Jin magic blade and used his newly comprehended ability to control fire ability to split the purple flames into rings of flames that revolved crazily and flew out. Wherever the rings of flames passed, the giant spiders would shriek in pain as they were cut into two halves by the rings of flames. In the sky, the leader rode on a giant eagle and brought along a few wyverns and a dozen corrupted warriors. He kept circling in the sky, looking for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. He was intimidated by Yu Yang's strength and didn't dare to dive down. Instead, he ordered the corrupted warriors to shoot with their crossbows or bows. Yi Kong and the others continued to throw burning oil, forcing the densely packed giant spiders in front of them to retreat. At the same time, they formed a small team that could attack and defend as they slowly advanced forward. Go, go! Old General Ma knew that the longer they delayed, the more dangerous the situation would be. If they didn't leave now, these students might not even be able to leave. On the other hand, Yi Kong and the others groaned inwardly. They had already killed their way out of the town by 2 kilometers, but they were still within the range of the interference. If they didn't do it soon, they would reach the despair abyss. Old General Ma waved the flaming giant beam and shouted at Fatty Hai, who was the slowest, "Go, teleport out." Normally, as long as you don't land on a cliff, you won't fall to your death. Use the teleportation scroll again and return to your place. Quickly find the strongest teacher to protect you. Don't wander around, and don't go to the Warriors Guild to announce the attack. The rankers from the Demonic Palace will be here soon. Go quickly. Fatty Hai and the others were extremely nervous. However, without Yu Yang's approval, they didn't dare to take out their teleportation scrolls and leave. Yu Yang's idea was that the team had to stay together. Otherwise, even if the enemy managed to catch one of them, it would be a big problem. No matter what, they had to bring the whole team back. Old General Ma suddenly roared towards the sky. His entire body turned into a bear, almost turning into a giant steel bear. He lost control and charged into the group of giant spiders, crazily slaughtering them, repeatedly charging and killing. He opened up a path for Yu Yang and the others. When Yu Yang got close, his eyes were bloodshot, and he actually struck his palm towards Yu Yang's chest. When Yu Yang dodged it skillfully, the red light in old General Ma's eyes gradually weakened. He growled, "Go quickly. I can't hold on for much longer. You guys are different from us. You guys are students. Don't sacrifice yourselves so easily. You guys are the future of the soaring dragon continent. We are soldiers. Dying on the battlefield is the highest honor. Go, I'm about to lose control. You guys leave quickly." Old General Ma, who had transformed into a bear, charged towards the group of giant spiders with a rumble, causing another wave of chaos. He turned halfway and led the countless spiders back towards Hopetown. Yi Kong's hands were full of sweat. The teleportation scroll in his hand was so tight that water could almost come out. Seeing that there was no more black gas on the teleportation scroll, he hurriedly opened the teleportation scroll and shouted, "It's done. We're already out of the interference range. Everyone, hurry up." In the sky, the corrupted warriors riding on the giant eagles swooped down with a few wyverns, preparing to interfere with Yu Yang and the others' teleportation. As long as the interference was successful, this last team of reinforcements would also die in this Hope Town. Yu Yang raised his Hui Jin magic blade and leapt up high, killing the giant eagle that swooped down the fastest. Fresh blood splattered, and feathers fluttered in the air in satisfaction. Immediately, the giant eagles and wyverns who saw that the situation was not good immediately fled in all directions. The corrupted warrior commander's expression changed. He had taken out the gold-ranked crossbow from his bosom and kept it. A fallen warrior who couldn't escape in time caused Yu Yang, who had appeared behind him, to be scared witless. His attempts to escape and struggle were all futile. Yu Yang swung his blade and landed on the ground. At this time, they had already successfully teleported away. In the sky, the corrupted warrior and the giant eagle that had lost their heads spiraled downwards and fell into a group of giant spiders. They were instantly drowned by the bloodthirsty spiders. On the ground, only Anan and Yu Yang were left. Under Hui Tai Lang's protection, Anan opened the teleportation gate without any threat. However, she was waiting for Yu Yang to leave with her. Yu Yang quickly opened the teleportation scroll and kicked Hui Tai Lang into the teleportation gate. Then, he and Anan both entered their own teleportation gate and teleported away. Their destination was originally the Ivy Academy's plaza. The old cunning fox was lying at the entrance to study the teleportation circle when he suddenly felt a ripple in the air. When he raised his head, he saw Fatty Hai screaming and falling down. He quickly dodged to the side. He looked at Fatty Hai, who had crashed onto the ground with a loud bang, and asked in astonishment, "What happened?" "Fatty, you didn't die, right?" Before he could finish, Yi Kong and the Li brothers teleported down from the sky, scaring the old cunning fox so much that he quickly dodged. Just as he was puzzled, a pair of feet suddenly stepped on him. Then, He heard Yu Yang's voice asking from above his head, "Is everyone all right?" "They are all right. However, as the vice principal, I really want to ask you out of curiosity. Student, where did you set the teleportation point? Why did you set to be above my head?" The old cunning fox realized that Yu Yang was especially heavy. When he raised his head, he saw that Yu Yang was carrying Yu Bing on his back, a female thief in his arms, and a blackened roasted person in his other hand. He immediately understood why this brat's weight was comparable to Fatty High's. It turned out that he was carrying 3 people and a captive. There were still some disturbances in the teleportation, but at least we returned safely. Vice Principal, I don't have time to talk to you right now. I'll leave these people to your protection. Before I return, if they lose even a single strand of hair, I'll hold you accountable. Yu Yang did not have the time to get down from the old cunning fox's back. He hurriedly put down an An and untied Yu Bing. Finally, he hurriedly opened the scroll that old General Ma gave him and carried Tan Wu Fong, teleporting directly to Tian Luo Kingdom to look for reinforcements. What's going on? Who is that burnt person that Brad is carrying? The old cunning fox was confused and couldn't make heads or tails of the situation. Nothing much. It's just that some people from the demonic palace came to attack us in Hope Town. The burnt person that Yu Yang was carrying was said to be the black-winged Tan Wu Fong. Yi Kong purposely played down the situation. What kind of joke is this? Why would the demonic palace attack you kids? The old cunning fox jumped up. I don't understand either. Yi Kong spread his hands helplessly. Is that person really the black-winged Tan Wu Fong? The old cunning fox felt that this matter was not simple. Of course he knew the black-winged Tan Wu Fong, the traitor of Tian Luo. He's not that powerful. Yu Yang could beat him up with just one hand. The powerful one was a fellow called the luminous demon Ding Zong. He almost burned us into roast ducks. I thought that old General Ma, one of the 10 great generals of Tian Luo, was already very powerful. Who knew that he would be killed in one move? Luckily, old Ma's life was quite tough, and he didn't die. Fatty High started to narrate the story with a radiant smile. If the old cunning fox was willing to listen, he was even prepared to narrate the entire process from the start. The luminous demon Ding Zong could even fight him? The old cunning fox cried out in surprise. Was it Yu Yang, that brat, who won? That's impossible. I would have to expend a lot of effort to take down the luminous demon Ding Zong. If I don't use a beast that counters that fellow's hellfire, it would be very troublesome to fight him. How long did that brat Yu Yang fight for? 3 moves? Yu Bing nodded her head proudly. That's impossible. I might not even be able to take down the luminous demon Ding Zong in 3 moves. The old cunning fox was completely shocked. He didn't win. He only used his magic blade to take down the hellfire that was 10 times stronger than the luminous demon Ding Zong, scaring him away. Inan added, "That's still impossible. 10 times stronger than the hellfire. It would be more likely if I was the one who took it. Is Yu Yang that powerful?" The old cunning fox felt that he urgently needed to update his assessment of Yu Yang's battle strength. Vice Principal, forgive me for speaking bluntly. Aren't you the worst teacher in the Ivy Academy? I didn't think that your bragging skills are even better than mine. Fatty High hugged the old cunning fox's shoulders and shook his head sympathetically. I say, Vice Principal, it's normal to fantasize and brag. Everyone has them, but fantasizing and bragging are 2 different things. You can't exaggerate too much. With your strength as a level 5 Grandmaster, you're not even a match for Ding Zhang's finger. It's fine if you say this to us, but don't ever say it to others. Otherwise, people will laugh their teeth off. As students of the Ivy Academy, we would also feel ashamed. After being lectured by Fatty High, the old cunning fox felt very gloomy. He almost wanted to use his full strength to scare this Fatty High to death. However, after thinking about it, it wasn't easy for him to disguise himself to this extent. If he let this Fatty High know his true strength, it would be strange if he didn't pester him every day. In the end, the old cunning fox lowered his head and said gloomily, "All right, Fatty, you're right. I admit that what I said just now was wrong. The demonic palace isn't a place to be offended. It's very possible that they would come to take revenge. However, don't be afraid. I'll protect you guys. Ah, I'll find some experts to protect you guys. Yu Yang didn't know that the old cunning fox, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai, were making a ruckus behind his back. The moment he entered the teleportation gate, he realized that something was wrong. It was probably because he was carrying the black winged tan Wu Fong in his hands that the teleportation was a little off. He didn't teleport to the teleportation gate in front of the Imperial City. The moment he teleported out, he realized that he was facing a roof. He hurriedly used his chi to lighten his body and used the tip of his foot to touch the glazed roof tiles. Who knew that he wouldn't be able to exert any force at all? His whole body slid soundlessly into the glazed roof tiles, but he didn't feel anything at all. It was very strange. The black-winged tan Wu Fong that he was holding in his hands suddenly collapsed on the roof. Furthermore, Yu Yang heard the black-winged tan Wu Fong let out an extremely painful scream as he fainted. The black-winged tan Wu Fong was sent flying more than 10 meters away, falling to an unknown place. As for Yu Yang himself, he went through the roof, unable to grab onto any beams or pillars. In the end, he fell straight down to the ground. When Yu Yang saw that it was still all right, it was the ground. If it was a bottomless abyss or a dimensional space, he would be finished. He then used his chi and tried his best to lighten his feet. Yu Yang hoped that he would float down to the ground like a feather without triggering any mechanisms. He hoped that there wouldn't be a mechanism that would trigger thousands of arrows piercing through his heart. Then, something even stranger happened. When Yu Yang's feet touched the ground, he once again missed. The ground was fake, and there was nothing there. Yu Yang's whole body strangely fell into the ground. Following that, he saw the illusion on the ground shatter, revealing a pool of clear water. Yu Yang's whole body fell into the water with a loud bang. Only now did he realize that the house, the pillars, and the ground were all illusions. The real thing was water, a very big lake. Yu Yang felt very dizzy. He had clearly teleported to the Imperial City's teleportation circle. How did he end up here? Furthermore, why was he able to fall into the lake, but the black-winged tan Wu Fong couldn't? How did he get bounced out? Just when Yu Yang was scratching his head in confusion, he suddenly heard two extremely soft voices talking about him. However, when he looked around, he couldn't see anyone. How did this foolish brat fall into our Fata Morgana? A naturally dignified voice sounded out, as if it was speaking right beside Yu Yang's ear. Capture him and interrogate him properly. The other voice was very mischievous, and it seemed to be quite young. It was especially delicate and gentle. Yu Yang started sweating profusely. Fata Morgana? Who were these two people? What kind of place was this Fata Morgana? Chapter 164. If he did not have a mission to request for help, Yu Yang would definitely pretend that he did not hear anything and listen to what was going on first. Right now, even a minute's delay could cause old General Ma and the others to be completely annihilated. Yu Yang hurriedly shouted, "You two, I accidentally barged into this Fata Morgana. My original destination was the Imperial City's teleportation circle, but because I was carrying a person, there was a deviation. Please let me out first. I have a mission that concerns a person's life. I must enter the Imperial Palace to seek an audience with the Emperor of Tianluo, Hua Suri. If you two want to punish me, wait for me to seek an audience with the Emperor of Tianluo, then I can receive my punishment." Although he did not know if the Fata Morgana was a beast or a dimensional space, Yu Yang felt that the two people who could possess this thing were definitely extraordinary people. Maybe they even had some relationship with the Emperor Hua Suri. Seeing that he had asked for help, they might not make things difficult for him. As expected, when Yu Yang said this, the two people who were whispering became silent. After a while, the feminine voice asked, "Brat, who are you? How can you hear our conversation, even though you're in the Fata Morgana?" Yu Yang was speechless. His level 3, divine vision, was useless here, but his ears could hear everything clearly. This Fata Morgana was really strange. Although he was thinking this, he hurriedly replied, "I am a student from the Ivy Academy in Xia. My name is Titan. A few days ago, I went to the Despair Abyss to train but I did not expect to be surrounded by the demonic palace's corrupted warriors in Hopetown. Hopetown is in a state of emergency. There are countless giant spiders surrounding us, and there are thousands of flying beasts eyeing us from the sky. Old General Ma personally escorted me out and sent me to seek help from the Emperor of Tianluo, Hua Su-ri, asking him to send at least one heavenly imperial guardian. The military situation is extremely urgent. Please let me out quickly. I must seek an audience with the Emperor of Tianluo, Hua Su-ri, as soon as possible. Brat, aren't you afraid that we are from the demonic palace by telling us this? The feminine voice asked mischievously. If the two of you were from the demonic palace, you would definitely recognize the traitor of the Tianluo Empire, the Black-Winged Tan Wu Fong, who I was holding in my hands just now. You wouldn't even ask me the reason for my actions now. Instead, you would immediately kill me. Yu Yang was certain that the two of them were not from the demonic palace. How could there be people from the demonic palace in the vicinity of the imperial city, under the feet of the emperor? Moreover, if they were from the demonic palace, why would they waste their breath on him? They could just kill him directly. You can't be too confident with your words. Maybe the people of the demonic palace, just like a silly brat like you, they feel that you have potential and are reluctant to kill you. What does the Black-Winged Tan Wu Fong count for? He is just a chess piece that the three great sky demons had purposely put on. The three great sky demons had joined hands to save him, which was equivalent to a kind of propaganda for the demonic palace. Do you really think that a puny Black-Winged Tan Wu Fong is worth the three great sky demons coming to save him? Do you really think that he can be of great use? You're different from him. You, this silly brat, still have a lot of potential. If I was from the demonic palace, I would definitely choose you and not him. The extremely delicate female voice refuted Yu Yang's words. However, her words had proven that she was not from the demonic palace. The military situation is extremely urgent. Please let me out quickly. I will come back to receive my punishment after I meet the Tianluo Emperor, Hua Su-ri. Yu Yang hurriedly begged the other party to let him out. He felt that this place was a dimensional world, as if there was no end to it. There was only an endless lake. Teleportation scrolls were useless here. Yu Yang knew that no matter if this was a beast's ability or someone else's dimensional space, without the owner's permission, he would not be able to leave this place. If he were to leave now and meet the Tianluo Emperor, Hua Su-ri, he would immediately leave. Only an idiot would come back to receive his punishment. Yu Yang even had a strange feeling in his heart. Perhaps this place was the Tianluo Imperial City. These two people were most likely relatives of the Tianluo Emperor. Otherwise, they would not be surprised or have any strange reactions when he mentioned Hua Su-ri again and again. The extremely delicate female voice laughed. You think you can meet the Tianluo Emperor, Hua Su-ri, whenever you want. You even said that you would come back to receive your punishment. If I let you out, it would be strange if you did not run away immediately. I won't let you go. I will punish you to sit in this water prison for the rest of your life. Yu Yang sweated profusely. Meeting such a person, he was really speechless. The two heavenly imperial guardians and three elders of Tianluo have already been sent out by the Tianluo Emperor, Hua Su-ri. Before you came, there were already members of the Hurricane Scout team who had escaped back to the imperial city to ask for help. The naturally dignified voice said slowly, My sister is mischievous. You don't have to worry about it. It's just that intruders from the Mirage have to stay for an hour before they can leave. This has nothing to do with our control. After an hour, you will naturally leave this place. When Yu Yang heard this, he sweated profusely again. He really suspected that this person was the Tianluo Emperor, Hua Su-ri. However, he had painstakingly come here to report the news. Not only did he not reward him, he did not even thank him. Wasn't this too impolite? Haha, this brat's expression is really funny. He actually doesn't even know what a mirage is. One idiot, huh? The delicate female voice laughed continuously. Stay here by yourself. That dignified voice did not wait for Yu Yang to say anything else. After leaving behind this sentence, there was no more sound. Yu Yang did not think that he would encounter such a situation when he came here to ask for help. Fortunately, the Tian Luo Empire's heavenly imperial guardians had already been sent out. He floated in the water for half a day, feeling even more puzzled. He was clearly teleported to the imperial city. How did he fall into this mirage? Why was there only water in here? Yu Yang dove into the water. He felt that there might be something strange at the bottom of the water. After searching for half a day, this mirage simply made Yu Yang extremely puzzled. Other than water, there was nothing else. Not even a single fish. Finally, Yu Yang floated to the surface of the water, feeling very bored. A delicate female voice sounded beside his ear. Her voice seemed to be right beside his ear as she asked mischievously, "How is it? What did you find?" "I didn't find anything." When Yu Yang said this, the girl kept laughing secretly. "When you come out of the mirage, will you ask the Tian Luo Emperor Huasu Ri for your reward, or will you immediately use a teleportation scroll to leave?" Although this girl was mischievous, she was extremely good at seeing through people's hearts. She had also guessed that Yu Yang was prepared to escape at the first moment. "I don't have a teleportation scroll on me. I can't leave even if I wanted to." Of course, Yu Yang would not admit it on the surface. He was afraid that this girl would come up with some wicked ideas to tease him. "Ha ha ha, stupid little liar. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? If you didn't have a teleportation scroll on your lich ring, would you be able to talk to me so calmly? I can still recognize the lich ring, including the little thing on your wrist. I also know what it is. It's funny that it's an attack-type beast, but you actually turned it into a wrist guard. Who is your master? How did I teach you, little idiot?" When the delicate female voice said this, Yu Yang's heart immediately trembled. This mysterious golden beast, he couldn't see through it even with his divine vision. He didn't think that she would know what it was. Was this mysterious golden beast an attack-type beast? Yu Yang thought about it. This little thing was indeed very powerful when it saw a dragon crystal. However, in terms of defense, he had never seen it protect him before. As for changing into a wrist guard, he didn't make a change at all. It had changed on its own. "I don't have a master." Yu Yang quickly pretended to be pitiful. Actually, he did have a master. It was the heavenly sword goddess. However, this secret must definitely not be told to anyone. If you don't have a master, how could you have such abilities at such a young age? You can't lie to me. You definitely have a master. You really don't have one? You really don't have a master? That's impossible. There must be someone secretly teaching you. The delicate female voice seemed to be interested in teaching others. She suddenly opened her mouth and said, "Looks like your master has only secretly taught you combat skills and didn't teach you the correct way to use beasts. How about this? I'll be your real master. As long as you sincerely call me master and obediently listen to me in the future, I'll teach you and let you become my first disciple. I can have a master, but it must be a beauty." Yu Yang had his own principles. "Don't worry, I'm even more beautiful than you think. You're really lucky to have a master like me." The delicate female voice was very confident in her appearance. "If it's my master, it must be both beautiful and intelligent. I won't acknowledge a pretty flower vase as my master. Tell me, what abilities do you have?" Yu Yang actually came to choose Miss World. "My abilities? I know more than 200 different languages, and I can write more than 100 different languages. I can read all kinds of secret books, including summoning runes. I can differentiate more than 100,000 types of beasts, including the Tong Tian beast on your wrist, which is the only one in the world and in Tong Tian Tower. I can break all kinds of seals, and even if it's an ancient equipment that has been sealed for a long time, I can restore it to its original state." The delicate female voice talked nonstop for around 10 minutes, almost making Yu Yang's jaw drop to the ground. Who was this girl? Wasn't she a little too awesome? Yu Yang's heart was moved. She had a lot of knowledge that he urgently needed to learn. For example, how to differentiate between the mysterious golden beast, the one and only Tong Tian beast in this world, how to summon runes, how to break through barriers and seals, as well as ancient equipment. If he entered God's ruins in the future, he must master all of these. Otherwise, he would just be empty-handed. The shameless guy from another world immediately revealed a sincere smile when he saw that he could take advantage of the situation. His smile was as bright as the sun, and his lips were red and his teeth white. Master is really amazing. I wonder who you are and what's your name? In order to learn the knowledge that he wanted, Yu Yang shamelessly called her his master. It's too late. I already regret it. Now I feel that I can eat whatever I want, but I can't accept any disciple. So, you should find someone else to be your disciple. The delicate female voice laughed mischievously. When Yu Yang was about to faint, she gave him another condition. When you reach the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower and obtain the life force and dream jadeite, I'll consider whether or not to accept you as my disciple. Nonsense. If I can reach the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, why would I want to be your disciple? Yu Yang almost fell out. She actually dared to say such a condition. Even if you can reach the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, in front of me, you're still a child. You might be very confident in yourself, but I can tell you a secret. It's a small blow to your self-confidence. With your current level, I can beat you to a pulp with just one finger. When the delicate female voice said this, Yu Yang was shocked. At first, he thought that she was a naughty princess or a princess. He didn't expect her to be so strong. Luckily, he had the disguise inherent skill. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to hide his innate realm from her. Who is this girl? Who are you? Yu Yang felt that this girl wasn't simple. His heartbeat quickened. He must not let her see that he was a little innate who had just reached the innate realm not long ago. I won't tell you my name, because you're not my disciple. If you want to show some respect to me, you can call me by my title, Night Empress, just like normal warriors. When the delicate female voice said this, Yu Yang felt as if he was struck by lightning on a clear day. He immediately cried out involuntarily, "You're the Night Empress, one of the 3 great heavenly imperial guardians of Tianluo, the Night Empress who heavily injured the Marquis of Zijin in 1 move? 2 moves? I actually used 2 moves to defeat the Marquis of Zijin." The delicate female voice corrected him. Oh my God! Yu Yang was scared out of his wits. The Marquis of Zijin was so powerful, yet she defeated him in 2 moves. Wasn't this girl too terrifying? Chapter 165. When you reach the Tong Tian Tower 6th floor, if no one is willing to be your guide, you can come and find me. All right, who is your Tong Tian Tower guide? The Night Empress's sweet voice rang out. Suddenly, she asked a question that Yu Yang couldn't understand for a long time. I don't know. When Yu Yang entered Tong Tian Tower, his guide was a big-breasted beauty that he hadn't seen until now. He only saw her once at Shangwu Camp. From then on, there was no trace of her. It was said that Shangwu Camp was usually managed by Elder Lu. It was not that lazy but extremely enchanting big-breasted beauty. Yu Yang couldn't understand why there was such a coincidence. It just had to be her turn to receive him when he went to Tong Tian Tower to look for Yu Bing. What was even weirder was that when Yu Yang returned to Shangwu Camp and secretly asked about her, no one knew who the big-breasted beauty was. No one even dared to mention her. It was as if the big-breasted beauty was a terrifying monster. Yu Yang remembered that there was a middle-aged man at the entrance of Tong Tian Tower who asked about her. When he heard that it was her, his face immediately changed. Normally, a warrior who had the ability to guard the entrance of Tong Tian Tower wouldn't be so timid. Could it be that the big-breasted beauty was an existence even more terrifying than the Demon King? The Night Empress didn't believe Yu Yang's words. Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. He described the big-breasted beauty's appearance and pretended to be nonchalant. I really don't know the guide who entered Tong Tian Tower. I heard from Fatty that it was usually Elder Lu who received people at Shangwu Camp. However, I was an exception that day. When the Night Empress heard this, she was silent for a long time. Just when Yu Yang was wondering if he had said something wrong, he suddenly heard the Night Empress snort with a slightly jealous tone. I knew it was her. She has that kind of inherent skill. Of course, it's easier for her to find people. I hate her the most. She always snatches everything before me. What card did she give you? Crystal card? She's so generous. What conditions did she give? 1 wisdom fruit every year? This was too simple, wasn't it? This was clearly stealing disciples. It wasn't fair. It didn't conform to the agreement between experts at all. You idiot! How could you agree to let her be your introducer? You won't get anything out of it. You've suffered a great loss. Don't worry. Old people always say that suffering a loss is a blessing. Yu Yang took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. Bless your head. The Night Empress was very angry and did not speak for a long time. After a while, she suddenly said, I'll also give you a mission. If you complete it, then I'll consider giving you some pointers. It's a very simple task. In the center of the despair abyss, thousands of meters underground, there's a black tortoise realm. There's an injured dragon turtle there. Heal it, obtain the black tortoise bead from it, and then come find me here. Yu Yang heard that she said it was easier than eating beans, but after thinking about it, it was probably 10 times more difficult than giving a fruit of wisdom to the big-breasted beauty whose whereabouts were still unknown every year. Who had ever been to the center of the abyss of despair? No one. Even if someone had been there, it would be someone at the level of the Night Empress. They were all the heavenly imperial guardians of the country, a realm that normal warriors could never imagine. Run to the center of the despair abyss and heal the dragon turtle first before obtaining the black tortoise bead? Seems like it would be difficult. Go to the anthole to look for the hard-shelled dragon fruit. Meet the Marquis of Zijin, and he almost lost his life. If he went to the center of the despair abyss again and met someone more powerful than the Marquis of Zijin, then he would be finished. He was not a cat with 9 lives. If he said he would die, then he would really die. Furthermore, he still had the Starlight, Serene, Indigo Grass quest from Grandma Wutong. If he had the ability to complete the quest to obtain the black tortoise bead, he believed that Grandma Wutong would not take out this Starlight, Serene, Indigo Grass quest. If she did not give it to him, it would prove that he could not do it now. Yu Yang thought of this and hurriedly asked, what level was that dragon turtle? Platinum ranked level 6, so was platinum ranked level 10, but it was injured by someone. The Night Empress words almost made Yu Yang cramp and drown in the lake. It could even be injured by a platinum-ranked level 10? Yu Yang could not imagine what kind of ranker would be able to do that. You can do it in the future, too. The Night Empress giggled. What is that black tortoise bead? Yu Yang had heard of the white dragon bead before. When all the soldiers were poisoned, Jun Wu Yu gave the Floating Mist sect their national treasure, the white dragon bead. Only then did the Floating Mist sect send Elder Tian Suo to cure them. In the end, they even created a case of the real and fake Elder Tian Suo. I'll tell you about the black tortoise bead later, but it is a necessity. As long as you gather the Azure Dragon bead, white tiger bead, vermilion bird bead, and black tortoise bead, you can truly be recognized as a ranker. Little fellow, you don't know, but the highest level of Tong Tian Tower is very, very wide. Hard to describe. Any small island is bigger than the soaring dragon continent, even bigger than the demon abyss. We come from the soaring dragon continent, but there are also various kinds of rankers from other places. Everyone is competing with each other, striving to climb to the higher levels. That kind of competition is something you can't imagine now. In comparison, our soaring dragon continent is like a small village. With the soaring dragon continent as our starting point, we cultivate higher and higher. When you reach an extremely high realm and look back, you will realize that the lives of ordinary people are actually very laughable. It's just like how you see ants busying themselves right now. Our soaring dragon continent's rankers are few in number, but they are also more united. Our standard is to have the ability to gather all 4 jewels. Only then can we be recognized by everyone and become one of the rankers. Because the dragon turtle is injured, the black tortoise bead is the easiest to get, so I suggest that you complete it first. Don't let others complete it first. Because once the dragon turtle is successfully healed by others, it will regain its original battle power, leave the despair abyss, and re-enter Tong Tian Tower. It won't stay in the despair abyss forever. Night Empress words made people nervous. This dragon turtle could also be healed by others. It wasn't the only task. However, even if Yu Yang accepted it, he didn't know how to heal beasts at all. He reckoned that this matter would be very difficult. God knows how to heal the dragon turtle. Night Empress didn't say anything. She didn't give any hints. It seemed that this secret couldn't be told. She had to let Yu Yang explore it himself. Yu Yang's eyes flashed, and he asked again, "What is the relationship between the white dragon pearl and the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise beads? Are they at the same level or higher?" The white dragon pearl is a type of dragon pearl. It is a necessary item for a level 7 overlord to level up to level 8 emperor. It is different from the 4 jewels. The white dragon pearl is not bad, but we don't acknowledge that the level 8 emperor that the soaring dragon continent set down is a true ranker. Knight Emperor's words completely shocked Yu Yang. A level 8 emperor wasn't a ranker? Then wouldn't level 7 overlord and level 6 elder be normal people? No wonder innates viewed all warriors below level 5 as ants. Yu Yang swallowed his saliva and asked, "Then what level are the real rankers?" Knight Empress smiled gently. After a while, she said, "It's okay to tell you earlier because you have potential. In the soaring dragon continent, the real rankers are called innates. Level 7 overlord starts to come into contact with innates, and level 8 emperor start to train, but we don't acknowledge them as real innates. Only level 9 saint and above are called innates. Moreover, innates are divided into 9 levels. The soaring dragon continent's beginner saint is at most innate level 1, intermediate saint is innate level 2, advanced innate level 3. I'm going to faint." Yu Yang realized that he had just started. Yu Yang knew that although he was an innate, his skills were far from enough. He had only trained for half a year. In terms of skills and knowledge, he couldn't be compared to the innate rankers who had trained for hundreds of years. Compared to a level 7 overlord and a level 8 emperor, there was still a huge gap. If he used all his strength now, he could probably fight against a level 6 elder. If he used all his strength and intelligence, he could easily defeat a level 6 intermediate elder. As for the beginner, level 6 elder, after the battle at the entrance of the anthole, Yu Yang realized that he could easily defeat them. Those who were level 5 and below were all ants. He could easily kill them. Winning against the Marquis of Zijin, other than his luck, was also because the Marquis of Zijin had underestimated him. Moreover, he had fought with Grandma Qi and used up more than half of his strength. If the Marquis of Zijin had known his true strength from the start and used all his strength, it would have been a headache for him. If the Marquis of Zijin was at his peak condition, the final victor might not have been him. Yu Yang felt that if he could comprehend the power of his Yin ability, control water and ice abilities, and climb to the 4th level of the innate, invisible sword Qi, he might be able to fight against the Marquis of Zijin. The Marquis of Zijin needed a year's time to return to the soaring dragon continent. Yu Yang, who had already comprehended and controlled fire ability, was now full of confidence. When this guy returned from the demon abyss, it would probably be the time when he defeated him. This was because breaking through the 4th level of the innate, invisible sword Qi was only a matter of time. Yu Yang estimated that he would be able to break through in less than 3 months. After breaking through, would he be able to open the divine grimoire? Yu Yang still had this expectation in his heart. If he could, then the Marquis of Zijin could pitifully receive his bento as fertilizer. I also found you quite pleasing to the eye. Originally, I wanted to give you some pointers, but you were snatched away by her. According to the agreement between rankers, it is not convenient for me to interfere in your matters. If you want to learn from me, I must give you a mission. When you get the black tortoise orb, come and find me again." The Knight Empress suddenly thought of something and asked, "Why did you go to the despair abyss?" "To pluck the starlight, serene indigo grass. This was the mission that Grandma Wu Tong gave me." Yu Yang wanted to probe the Knight Empress' attitude towards Grandma Wu Tong. "Is big sister Wu Ting your teacher?" "She's not bad, but it's a pity that after she was heavily injured by someone, she was unable to recover." The Knight Empress' attitude made Yu Yang feel deep veneration towards Grandma Wu Tong. Even someone as strong as the Tianluo Kingdom's heavenly imperial guardians, the Knight Empress, used a respectful tone to address Grandma Wu Tong. It was very obvious that she was also one of the strongest rankers, or at least she used to be. In the end, The Night Empress enthusiastically introduced to Yu Yang. You can't pluck the starlight, serene indigo grass. That's not something a man can touch. Only pure virgins can pluck it. I'll introduce a little girl to you. She's very good in this area. However, I can't guarantee if she will agree to help you. Her name is Fallen Flowers. She usually lives in the Sky Garden in the 4th floor of Tong Tian Tower, Fallen Flower City. You can go to the Warriors Guild in Tong Tian Tower and leave a message for her. Say that I introduced you to her. Maybe she will agree to help you. I know City Mistress Fallen Flowers. We've even fought against the Demon General and plucked the demonic fragrance flower together. This time, I'm preparing to pluck the starlight, serene indigo grass with her. Yu Yang was overjoyed and hurriedly tried to establish a relationship. You know Fallen Flowers? Ha! When a Night Empress heard this, she suddenly laughed happily, even a little complacent. This caused Yu Yang to scratch his head in confusion. Was there anything wrong with him knowing City Mistress Fallen Flowers? Yu Yang's thoughts raced. Could it be that City Mistress Fallen Flowers wasn't a citizen of Xia, but a citizen of Tianluo Kingdom? How is she related to the Night Empress? You and Fallen Flowers should first pluck the starlight, serene indigo grass, and complete Elder Sister Wu Tung's mission. Elder Sister Wu Tung is very knowledgeable. You can learn some medical knowledge from her, and then go to the Despair Abyss with Fallen Flowers to get the Black Tortoise Pearl. She will be a good helper. How about this? I'll give you a year. No, half a year. When you get the Black Tortoise Pearl, I'll tell you more secrets. It's almost time. Before I send you out, I'll give you a little something. The Night Empress's delicate voice sounded. In an instant, 2 things appeared in Yu Yang's hands. One was a map. It seemed to be a map that led to the center of the Despair Abyss. The other was a bottle. It was made of mutton fat jade. It felt warm to the touch and was incomparably exquisite. The purple-red wooden stopper had a faint fragrance that seeped into one's lungs. There should be some kind of liquid inside. When Yu Yang shook it lightly, he could feel the liquid shaking inside. However, he didn't know what was inside. What's inside? Yu Yang's curiosity could kill a cat. The Fountain of Youth. If a normal person drinks a mouthful, they would be able to rejuvenate their youth by more than 10 years. If a warrior drinks a mouthful, the spiritual energy in their body would increase greatly. If you want to refine a martial god pill in the future, you must use the Fountain of Youth as a guide. Haven't you heard of the martial god pill before? The martial god pill is even better than the martial spirit pill. The martial spirit pill stimulates the potential in a person's body. The martial god pill is the opposite. It increases the potential of a person's body. Forget it. I'll tell you in the future. Before the Night Empress could finish her words, Yu Yang felt the world spinning around him. He was suddenly thrown out by an irresistible force. When he regained his consciousness, he was already standing in front of a huge imperial city. Under his feet was the imperial city's teleportation circle. Yu Yang didn't wait for the soldiers in the formation to come forward and interrogate him. He immediately opened a teleportation scroll and left, returning to the Ivy Academy. Of course, the first thing he did was to keep the Fountain of Youth and the map of the Despair Abyss into his ring. At the entrance of the Ivy Academy, the old cunning fox was waiting with Yu Bing, Inan, Fatty Hai, Li Brothers, and the others. Brother, Yu Bing was the first to rush over and jump into Yu Yang's embrace. It's good that you're all right. Inan also wanted to jump into Yu Yang's embrace. However, she felt a little embarrassed in front of everyone, so she stopped in her tracks. Bing Air, don't cry. Tianluo Kingdom had already sent out 2 heavenly imperial guardians. Old General Ma and the others will be fine. I promised old General Ma, so I need to go back and greet him. Yu Yang caressed Yu Bing's soft hair and smiled at Nan. Then, he nodded towards Yi Kong and the others. Don't worry, I will look after them. They will be fine. The old cunning fox nodded when he saw Yu Yang looking at him. Vice Principal, I realize that we all have the same inherent skill. Fatty Hai felt that the old cunning fox was as thick-skinned as him. He even dared to boast that he would protect everyone when he was a level 5 Grandmaster. Not only Fatty Hai, even Yi Kong and the others felt the same way. If the old cunning fox was really as strong as he had boasted, Then why did he bring everyone to seek protection from the eagle-eyed Xia Hwei Lai? Fatty, you must be itching for a beating. The old cunning fox was going crazy. Fortunately, there was still Yu Yang who knew his true strength. If not, he would have been depressed to death. Yu Yang smiled at the old cunning fox and opened the scroll. Together with Hui Tai Lang, they teleported to the wilderness a few kilometers away from Hopetown. What was the situation in Hopetown? With two heavenly imperial guardians, no matter how arrogant the demonic palace was, they would have to restrain themselves, right? In this teleportation, Yu Yang actually did not hope that the demonic palace would avoid the battle. Instead, he hoped that a huge battle would break out between the two sides. In the end, he would see if he could be the fisherman who benefited from the battle. Even if he could obtain a few corpses of the demonic palace's rankers who were killed by the heavenly imperial guardians, they would all be the best fertilizer for his flowers. Fertilizer, I'm coming. Yu Yang rushed out of the teleportation gate impatiently. Chapter 166. What appeared in front of Yu Yang was a mountain of corpses. The giant spider's corpses were piled up like a small mountain. The raging flames scorched the ground. Hopetown had already been razed to the ground by the terrifying power. Even part of the mountain peak above had collapsed. After the landslide, the broken rock walls were exposed. A huge meteorite had sunk deep into the ground. It was not far away from Yu Yang, emitting the last remnants of its heat, and white smoke curled up. Obviously, a battle that Yu Yang could not imagine had erupted here. It was definitely a battle between two experts. Yu Yang secretly rejoiced. Luckily, he was trapped in the mirage and could not come out. Otherwise, if he really encountered such a battle when he returned, he might not be able to benefit from it and might even lose his life. It was good to be able to obtain experts as fertilizer, but it was best not to meet with enemies that were too strong. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Yu Yang discovered that other than the giant spiders, there were also many flying beasts that had died here. Their corpses were everywhere. In an area surrounded by torches, someone had set up a small tent. Outside the tent, old General Ma, who was covered in blood, sat on a huge rock. "You're here, sit." Old General Ma looked extremely tired, but when he saw Yu Yang coming, his expression revealed a hint of relief. I came back late." Yu Yang wanted to explain that he had mistakenly entered the mirage and was trapped for more than an hour, so he came back late. But when the words reached his lips, he stopped and decided not to explain. "It was actually my idea to let the Imperial Guards capture you. The teleportation scroll I gave you was meant to teleport you to the back garden of the Imperial Palace and not to the Imperial City's teleportation circle. I know what kind of battle is going to happen next. For a young man like you, I cannot let you return to the battlefield and put you in danger." Old General Ma stretched out his hand and patted Yu Yang's shoulder. "I'm already very happy that you can come back. Thank you for risking your life to ask for help. If not for you, my soldiers would have been completely annihilated. I also thank you for not abandoning us in the end. You are my most trustworthy battle partner. In the future, if you need Old Ma's help, just say the word and Old Ma will definitely come over without any hesitation." Only now did Yu Yang know that this old General Ma was also an old fox. He had sent her out to seek help in order to protect her. Furthermore, he had purposely allowed her to barge into the back garden of the Imperial Palace, allowing the Imperial Guards to capture her. The only surprise was that he did not expect that he had barged into the mirage and had only come out now. He thought that he had been captured by the palace guards and released only now. Yu Yang didn't want to falsely claim credit for asking for help. He hurriedly waved his hand. It was the Hurricane Scout team that reported this. "I'm already late. I'll return this tiger tally to you." Old General Ma suddenly laughed. "Do you think that the members of the Hurricane Scout team can invite the Heavenly Imperial Guardians to take action?" Furthermore, the two Heavenly Imperial Guardians came over immediately. "This isn't something my soldiers can do. Actually, the teleportation scroll that I gave you was given to me by His Majesty. It can only be used during the most dangerous times. It's not for an old man like me to use it to save my life, but to protect the younger generation like you." Normally, this scroll is only used before the entire army is annihilated. It's only at the last moment. Although, I don't know what you told His Majesty, it's definitely because of your request for help that His Majesty invited the two Heavenly Imperial Guardians to come out. The Heavenly Imperial Guardians won't easily take action, even if we die in battle. They have an agreement among the rankers that they won't interfere in the war between countries. They will only take action when the country's safety or the country's future hopes are threatened. This time, the Heavenly Imperial Guardians took action because your life was threatened by the demonic palace. They won't care about the lives of ordinary soldiers. When Yu Yang heard this, he felt both angry and amused by the soaring Dragon Continent's rankers' protective actions. They could disregard the lives of thousands of soldiers, but for a junior with potential, even if he wasn't a young warrior from their own country, they would still protect him. Yu Yang felt that this was too funny. However, when he thought about it, he felt that it was very reasonable. To innate rankers, ordinary people were as insignificant as ants. If they had to take care of everything, they would be annoyed to death. Would a person squat beside an ant's nest every day to help them catch bugs or chase away enemies? That was obviously impossible. However, if there was a weak baby whose life was in danger and needed his help to take care of it, he probably wouldn't just stand by and watch. To the innate rankers who competed with the Demon Abyss rankers in the 8th and 9th floor of Tong Tian Tower, the soaring Dragon Continent was just a small village. The neighbors all had some relationship with each other. Although the neighbor's child wasn't their own, they would still help them out when they saw them. After thinking through all these, Yu Yang felt that it was very normal. If it was him, he might also do the same. There were people dying in the mercenary group every day. He couldn't possibly be compassionate and stay by their side every day to protect them from being bitten to death by beasts. Even if he was bored out of his mind, he wouldn't do that. However, if he met a mercenary who got along well with him and was attacked by beasts, it was still possible for him to save them. Those rankers probably had the same mentality as him. Yu Yang nodded his head. Now he realized that maybe Fata Morgana didn't have a time limit of 1 hour. Maybe the Night Empress said that on purpose to make him stay. As for the other authoritative voice, could it be the Tian Luo Emperor Huasu Ri? But why did it sound a little not like a man's voice? Could it be that the Tian Luo Emperor Huasu Ri was a woman? Yu Yang quickly abandoned this thought. In the soaring Dragon Continent, men were superior to women. If Huasu Ri was a woman, she definitely wouldn't be able to become the emperor. Furthermore, Huasu Ri's sister wasn't the Night Empress. Huasu Ri had two sisters. One was his biological sister, Jun Wuyu's beloved concubine. The other was his adopted sister, who was married to the Zijin Emperor. Maybe the other authoritative voice belonged to one of the 3 heavenly imperial guardians. He didn't appear again after that, so he might have been dispatched to Hope Town. In the future, you have to be especially careful of the people from the demonic palace. They might treat you as their next target. Old General Ma patted Yu Yang's shoulder. I can't help you with anything. I can only say one thing. If you need anything, Old Ma and the 3,000 Hurricane elites owe you their lives. You can move anytime. Old General Ma jumped down from the rock, waved his hand, and left without looking back. From afar, he could see it. A few meters away, the 3,000 Hurricane elites all saluted Yu Yang in unison. Then, they carried their injured comrades and walked into the teleportation circle, leaving this place of death. 1 day later, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the Li brothers were captured by the eagle-eyed Xia Ho Wei Lai to do some kind of mission. Yu Bing and Anan were brought to see the principal by the old cunning fox. It was said that they were going to be scribes, but they never came back. Yu Yang was bored, so he learned the basics of teleportation from the old cunning fox. At this time, the old cunning fox became cocky. He kept saying, "What? You can't even do such a simple thing? A genius like you can't even do such a simple thing?" Yu Yang was choked speechless by him. It was precisely because he didn't know how to do it that he wanted to learn from him. If he knew how to do it, he would have kicked him into the clouds long ago. After the old cunning fox attacked Yu Yang for a long time, he felt very satisfied. He gave Yu Yang a book on space theory and asked Yu Yang to memorize it. Then, he whistled as he went to attend the banquet in the palace. I've never seen such a bastard teacher in my life. I cursed this old fellow to die on the street. Yang didn't know how to use undead curses. Otherwise, he would have thrown a few curses at the old cunning fox's head. Yang's mood was very bad. Fortunately, it turned for the better very quickly. This was because the Thief Guild had sent a messenger to deliver a message from City Mistress Fallen Flowers. She said that she was already waiting for him at the ruins of Hope Town and asked him to come over as soon as possible. When Yang saw this, he was in a very good mood. His blissful sexual life had arrived. If he didn't have the time to push down an ant, he could push down this City Mistress Fallen Flowers. As the thought of wolves came to his mind, he recalled the wonderful feeling he had when he carried City Mistress Fallen Flowers on his back. That feeling, Yu Yang's body suddenly surged with waves of heat, as if his body was on fire. It was as if there was an electric current flowing through his skin, bringing with it a kind of restlessness. It seemed that if he didn't push down City Mistress Fallen Flowers, sooner or later he would be suffocated to death. Yu Yang immediately opened the teleportation scroll that set the target at the ruins of Hope Town. Bringing along Hui Tai Lang, he rushed out like a wisp of smoke and shouted, "Girl, I'm here. Quickly smile for me." What appeared in front of Yu Yang was not only the smiling City Mistress Fallen Flowers, but also the mysterious beauty who always carried a book. Yu Yang was instantly petrified. Seeing her again was supposed to be very exciting. But now there were two of them. It was too exciting. Yu Yang felt that his heart couldn't take it anymore. The difficulty of pushing down one girl was already very high. Pushing down two girls at the same time, that difficulty was definitely 100 times, or even 1,000 times more difficult than pushing down one girl. If he wanted to push down City Mistress Fallen Flowers, he just had to find a suitable time and place to do it with a bit of romance, a bit of surprise, a bit of violent stripping and flirting. Maybe he could succeed. But if all these were to be done under the gaze of the mysterious beauty, even a fool would know that it was impossible. Push down two girls at the same time? Do you want to have a threesome? Yu Yang felt that the success rate of this was even lower than him killing two Marquis of Zijin in one move. You guys know each other? Yu Yang had a feeling that these two girls knew each other and purposely came to find him together so that he wouldn't be able to succeed. Luckily, he didn't bring Yu Bing and Anan along. Otherwise, it would be even more lively. I don't know her. City Mistress Fallen Flowers and the mysterious beauty denied together. Who are you trying to fool? Yu Yang was going crazy. If they didn't know each other, why would they coincidentally wait for him here? I really don't know her. Student Yu Yang, who is she? Introduce her to me. City Mistress Fallen Flowers smiled. There was a hint of killing intent in her smile. Her gaze was like a knife, ready to cut Yu Yang's flesh. I don't know who she is either. Yu Yang couldn't introduce her because he had never seen the mysterious beauty's face before. He also didn't know her name. Then what you mean is that she's a passerby. City Mistress Fallen Flowers had heard Yu Yang say that she was a passerby, but she had forgotten. She's just a passerby. The mysterious beauty's memory was very good. She remembered it very clearly. She even knows that she's a passerby. Do you dare to say that you don't know her? City Mistress Fallen Flowers grabbed Yu Yang's collar. This action was similar to Princess Sisai's Rouge Tiger Eyes. However, other than grabbing Yu Yang's collar, that royal swordswoman also liked to stare at Yu Yang's eyes with her Rouge Tiger Eyes. She always tried to see through his inner world. It was a pity that when Yu Yang's counterfeit inherent skill leveled up, Princess Sisai's 6 records, inherent skill became a tragedy. Yu Yang felt that if he couldn't answer her properly now, his blissful sexual life would be finished. For his blissful sexual life in the future, Yu Yang clenched his teeth. I've decided I'll tell a lie. Chapter 167. Actually she's my wife. She already has my baby in her stomach. I never dare to tell you. Yu Yang pretended to be a heartless person. The mysterious beauty was stunned. Ha 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 ha. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was dumbfounded for a few seconds before bursting into a burst of laughter. She laughed so hard that her shoulders trembled. In the end, she laughed so hard that tears came out. She patted Yu Yang's shoulder with her small hands and said while suppressing her laughter, "She's still a virgin. How could she have a baby? Can your joke be any funnier?" "City mistress, how do you know that she's a virgin?" Yu Yang asked, pretending to be ignorant. "Didn't you notice that she and I both have a very nice virgin body fragrance?" "I say, Yu Yang, if you want to lie, you have to look at who you're talking to." City mistress Fallen Flowers laughed. "There's really a virgin body fragrance. Let me smell it." Yu Yang moved closer to the mysterious beauty. "Smell your head." The mysterious beauty hit Yu Yang to the ground. "I found out your skin is thicker than the city walls." City mistress Fallen Flowers bent down and used her little finger to lift Yu Yang's chin with a smile. Her lips were a few centimeters away from Yu Yang's lips. Her breath smelled like orchids, and her movements were very ambiguous. "Actually, you don't have to be nervous. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have with her. I'm just a little concerned about my future guard captain's lifelong happiness. Don't misunderstand. I've already misunderstood." "Oh no, I want to misunderstand." "No, the misunderstanding has already been resolved. I'm not nervous." Yu Yang spoke incoherently. "Your heartbeat seems to be a little fast." City mistress Fallen Flowers seemed to have a mischievous smile in her eyes. "This proves that my life force is strong." In this position, Yu Yang could see the snow-white skin under the collar of City mistress Fallen Flowers' brocade robe. His soul had almost drowned in that wonderful and unfathomable cleavage. In this situation, if his heart didn't beat faster, only Dongfang Booby wouldn't. "Your face is also a little red?" City Lord Fallen Flowers asked again. "This proves that my body is healthy and my complexion is very good." Yu Yang answered fluently. "Why is the tip of your nose sweating?" City mistress Fallen Flowers blew a breath of fragrance on Yu Yang's face, almost melting Yu Yang's bones. Flirting in this kind of ambiguous position, if Yu Yang's heart didn't palpitate, face didn't blush, ears didn't heat up, and nose didn't sweat, then he would have to change his name to Lu Xiaohui. The most terrible thing was that there was a mysterious beauty watching from the side. The double stimulation made him feel very uncomfortable. There were a few times when Yu Yang was prepared to just push down one of them. In any case, it didn't matter which girl he pushed down. However, his heart was greedy enough. He felt that they were all good girls, and he couldn't let them go cheaply to others. He had to take all of them. Of course, it would be even more difficult to take all of them, so Yu Yang couldn't act like a wolf. He had to pretend to be a gentleman and lower their vigilance. Yu Yang said with certainty, "The tip of my nose sweats because the weather is too hot." Just as he finished speaking, a gust of cold wind blew snow all over the sky. It floated down. The mysterious beauty suddenly turned around and sneezed so hard that even a mosquito wouldn't be scared away. She muttered to herself, "The weather is really too hot. Don't be afraid, my clothes are warm." When Yu Yang saw that there was a chance to curry favor, he hurriedly jumped up and took off his outer leather coat, wrapping it around the mysterious beauty's body. "Your movements are so practiced." City mistress Fallen Flowers looked Yu Yang up and down, giggling as she asked, "Can you take off another piece?" "If I take it off again, I'll be naked. But if you want it, then of course I'll give it to you." "My pants haven't been washed for half a month. Is that okay?" Yu Yang prepared to take off his pants. "Who wants it?" City mistress Fallen Flowers reached out her hand and touched the leather coat draped over the mysterious beauty's body. She said this out of the blue, making Yu Yang's heart almost jump out of his chest. City mistress Fallen Flowers seemed to have no intention of doing so, as she said in surprise, "This is wyvern skin? Is it the wyvern that I fought with you in the pavilion in the sky? The leather is not bad. I didn't expect it to be made so quickly." "Did you fight a wyvern with her in the pavilion in the sky?" This time, it was the mysterious beauty's turn to stare at Yu Yang with a gaze as sharp as a knife. "Definitely not. The wyvern that I fought with City mistress Fallen Flowers last time wasn't made yet, because the two old men were too particular about it. I fought a venom wyvern with that silly girl, Princess Sisai, at the Eagle's Cry Valley in Gue, Jianzhou." Yu Yang hurriedly tried to explain himself. When the two girls heard this, They immediately revealed a look of realization. Ah, so you fought it with Princess Sisai? Yu Yang immediately sweated profusely. Oh no, why did he drag Princess Sisai into this? This time, he really couldn't wash his name clean. Seeing that the two girls' gazes had turned into knives, Yu Yang immediately raised his hands in surrender. Beauties, please don't misunderstand. I actually don't have any relationship with Princess Sisai at all. Although I fought monsters with her in the Eagle's Cry Valley, I didn't take liberties with her on the way, nor did I touch her chest. I didn't even know that her chest was bigger than both of yours, nor did I know her waist. In short, I was very obedient. I didn't do anything, so I don't know anything. Continue. City Mistress Fallen Flowers' hands began to accumulate aurora light. I think I can believe you. The mysterious beauty also prepared to summon an ice storm. Heavens, I'm really innocent. Who can prove it for me? Hui Tai Lang, say that I'm innocent. Yu Yang was about to cry to death. Why was it that the more he tried to explain, the worse it got? When Hui Tai Lang heard its master's words, it immediately used its newly learned foreign language and meowed. It then nodded its head proudly, proving that its master was innocent. Yu Yang fell to the ground. City Mistress Fallen Flowers and the mysterious beauty clapped their hands and laughed coldly as they praised him. Not bad. Even your pet has been trained to help you lie. Yu Yang almost fainted. He explained while sweating. I really didn't do anything to Princess Sisai. That silly girl glares at people with her tigress eyes. She's very scary. She also uses a sword to slash people. She's so fierce, not as gentle as you guys. How could I dare to take liberties with her? It's more likely that she took liberties with me. There's really nothing between us. The heavens can testify for me. I can also testify for him. Behind Yu Yang, a clear voice rang out, very sincerely confirming. He really didn't do anything to me other than riding on my body and tearing my clothes to shreds. Yu Yang turned around and suddenly discovered that the royal swordswoman, Princess Sisai, was standing behind him. He thought that he was seeing things, so he rubbed his eyes. When he finally realized that it wasn't an illusion, he immediately sweated profusely. City Mistress Fallen Flowers asked curiously, "What happened after you tore your clothes to shreds?" He stretched out his wolf claws. Princess Sisai, who was wearing a suit of silver armor, nodded very frankly, admitting the fact that she was attacked by Yu Yang's wolf claws. No, I was only tricking a carrion crow at that time. I promise I didn't touch it. Yu Yang hurriedly defended himself. Yes, he didn't touch it. Princess Sisai confirmed Yu Yang's defense and nodded. He stretched out his wolf claws to grab. What happened after he grabbed it? At this time, the mysterious beauty suddenly opened her mouth and asked. Nothing happened after he grabbed it. No, he didn't grab it. Nothing happened after that either. No, the enemy appeared. We were busy fighting the enemy. We didn't have time to do anything else. Yu Yang recalled that day when he was pressing down on Princess Sisai. Did he really grab it with his wolf claws? At that time, he was too nervous. It felt like he really did touch it, but his memory wasn't very clear. Did he grab it or not? Yu Yang couldn't be sure. He felt that the whole process was muddled. Yes, the enemy did come about 2 hours later. Princess Sisai's words were too easy to misunderstand. If the enemy only came after 2 hours, then what should be done should have been done. What shouldn't have been done should have been done too. What did you do in these 2 hours? City Mistress Fallen Flowers asked. Nothing. Yu Yang felt that even he wouldn't believe his words, let alone them. Do you feel uncomfortable? The mysterious beauty asked. It seemed that she suspected that Princess Sisai was pregnant with Yu Yang's baby. My body is fine. It's just that after that, it hurt for a few days. Princess Sisai's words made Yu Yang fall head first onto the ground. If Junwei heard this, he would probably chop off his own head. Damn, these words were too ambiguous. She was obviously hinting that he had forced himself on her, so she hurt for a few days. Yu Yang felt that even if he jumped into the Yellow River, he wouldn't be able to clear his name. Moreover, there was no Yellow River in the Soaring Dragon continent to jump into. All right, I admit it. I want to do it, but I didn't dare to do it. Yu Yang felt that if he didn't tell the truth, he would have to prepare his will and epitaph. I feel that this prisoner's confession isn't very trustworthy. City Mistress Fallenflowers was like a strict judge. What's the reason why you didn't dare to do it? The mysterious beauty asked, sounding like a lawyer. Cowardly, Yu Yang replied. Yeah, I can prove that his courage is very small, just a little bit bigger than the sky. Princess Sisai, this royal swordswoman, made things worse the more she tried to help. She was a troublemaker. You can pronounce the sentence. City Mistress Fallenflowers looked like she was ready to sentence Yu Yang to death. Wait a minute, I want to say my last words. Yu Yang coughed lightly and cleared his throat. I regret it very much. When 3 beauties laid in front of me, I had the chance to push them down easily, but I missed it. Now, it's too late for regrets. If the heavens give me 3 more chances, I will sincerely tell those 3 beauties that I want to push them down, and I want to push each of them down 10,000 times. The world quietened down. Yu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. He should be fine now. Although he wanted to push them down, it hadn't happened yet. This crime shouldn't be punishable by death. After a few seconds, the mysterious beauty suddenly opened her mouth, giving Yu Yang the urge to commit suicide. Only now did he realize that City Mistress Fallenflowers and Princess Sisai weren't his natural enemies. The real troublesome girl was this mysterious beauty whose name he didn't even know. She was the only one who could be his true nemesis. Other than me and City Mistress Fallenflowers, who is the other girl who fainted in front of you? The mysterious beauty asked a very important question. I'll chop you to death, you evil Siscon. Princess Sisai suddenly understood. It was obvious that she wasn't one of the 3 girls. She had never fainted in front of him before. Although she was pushed down before, she was conscious at that time. Then the 3rd girl who fainted in his arms could be Yu Bing. When Princess Sisai thought of this, she became furious. She raised her great sword and prepared to chop him. Wait, I remember there was another female thief. She was shorter than you by a head, but her figure was very slender. City Mistress Fallenflowers pointed at the mysterious beauty and recalled. Ah, you're talking about Brother and Anne. It seemed like the mysterious beauty's understanding of Yu Yang was even more than Luo Hua City Mistress and Princess Qianqian combined. Yu Yang fell to the ground when he heard this. She even knew about this. Was this girl stalking him every day? Seeing that the 3 girls' gazes were like knives cutting his flesh, Yu Yang hurriedly shook his head and waved his hands. It's a misunderstanding. I didn't know that Brother Anan was a girl at all. My friendship with Anan is pure. The mysterious beauty suddenly took out a jade pendant and passed it to Yu Yang. I picked this up after he fought the Marquis of Zijin. Please use this engagement jade pendant from the 100 Flowers Valley to explain your great and pure friendship with Brother Anan. Yu Yang almost vomited blood. How did this jade pendant end up in her hands? No wonder he couldn't pick up girls smoothly these 2 days. It turned out that he had lost this lucky jade pendant. The 3 girls looked at Yu Yang curiously. They wanted to see what else he could say at this moment. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.